You found yourself at the junction where worlds meet. Politics.
Civility? How about honesty in this country, folks?
Entertainment.
I don't like entertainment.
And a whole bunch of other stuff.
It's about having a healthy body image. You have a very unhealthy body. You should have a horrible body image.
Not a big home improvement market in Detroit.
We are definitely going to get letters.
You're listening to Talk Radio's Strangest Animal.
You're a strange animal, that's what I know.
You're getting louder with Crowder.
But you're a strange animal, I got to follow. Oh, I'm in the spiritus.
Glad to be with you. We are working now. Hopefully everyone can hear me. We did this on the live stream online before. Now we are live with you, of course. Thank God. Not Gay Jared will be fired after the break. I am your host, Stephen Crowder. Producing with me in studio, as always, is Not Gay Jared. Go to louderwithcrowder.com. Follow him at Not Gay Jared. He is not gay. I fulfill my legal obligations. Draw your own conclusions. I'm assuming that we're good. I don't need to afford you that luxury today. Since you screwed up so badly. Big guests today. For those who don't know, we have actually, I'm under the impression, his exclusive interview, the first interview with Curt Schilling of ESPN after the debacle of him posted an image of tranny with this whole North Carolina situation, was fired from ESPN.
This is round 2 for him, by the way. This is round 2 of the meme, backlash.
Really?
He had something this last year with an Islam meme.
But he wasn't fired.
Wasn't fired, I don't think. But, I mean, this is this is round dos.
This
He's
is
probably
round 2.
getting
He's
used
a
to it.
repeat offender.
Yeah, he is a repeat.
So he's going to be on here in the third hour. He's going to phone in, and I had no idea that he was following me. I guess a fan of the show. We're incredibly grateful. We have an exclusive on that. We have Gavin McInnes, always fun. We'll be playing Newest Gender Pronoun, and we have Dave Rubin, lovely comedian, host, more left, and always fun to have him on. So great guests lined up today, and a big show. A lot going on this week.
Big show, a lot going on. Did you hear that Prince died? I know you just got in.
You are an absolute moron. It is mind-numbing.
No, seriously. I mean,
do I know that Prince died?
Yes. Like the
That's
singer.
a horrible way to introduce it.
The singer.
On air. Yes. It's been trending everywhere. How could I not know?
I don't know.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Thank you. But seriously, I mean, I figured since you were traveling, you may not have.
Well, I was traveling. I was doing
Twitter
a show
trends,
in Bucknell.
People talking
At no
about
point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I just wondered if you knew about it. It's an interesting topic. People are talking about it.
Yeah, there's also an election going on. I don't know if you wanted to notify our audience of that too.
Yes.
Sex can result in pregnancy.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
You just queued me up with it perfectly. And then
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Prince did pass away.
He did.
We are aware of this. I was aware of this.
You know.
Listen, I didn't listen to Prince a whole lot.
I think of Batman. Vicky Vale.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I think of.
Yeah, well, that's because you're a horrible human being, and you don't actually recognize his true accomplishments. The guy was a wildly talented musician. Prince.
He taught himself how many instruments.
Yeah, and it was
ridiculous.
overshadowed by the gimmick. That's one of those things that happens with a lot of these people, and you see it with in any form of media. You see it with comedians. You see it with musicians. They're brilliant, kind of like Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga was a great jazz musician. If you actually look and see,
And she had to go weird to make it.
Well, ugly chicks have to go fishing with dynamite, and so if people aren't showing up for your jazz recital, you toss on a meat suit and expose your nipples and call it a day. My point is, she's talented. Prince was incredibly talented. And I feel like Prince is one of those artists a lot of people want to say they like Prince, but didn't really listen to him. And I'm just honest. I had heard a couple of his main songs. So I don't want to pretend like I'm a fan. A lot of people do that. Like when someone dies, oh, I can't believe it. Oh, China, the wrestler died. Isn't this? And it's like, well, it's sad if someone dies, but I wasn't a fan. I didn't follow the WWE divas.
I won't lie. There was a part of me that thought Prince was dead already. There, I said it. My inside thoughts are now out.
Well, you should keep them as inside thoughts. Speaking of innies, inside, outside, Donald Trump this week. We'll go right into this because we'll no doubt have to get into this with guests. We've talked about this. We did the transgender bill, Schoolhouse Rock parody on there for those who don't know. Bruce Springsteen, Brian Adams, all these people are boycotting North Carolina over the trans LGBTQ AAIP bathroom laws. Basically, the bathroom laws, for those who haven't been following it, if you've been living under a rock, it's why Curt Schilling was fired. So conservatives were obviously opposed. Not only conservatives, moderate leftists were saying this is getting a little absurd. Okay, if businesses want people who have penises to use the men's room, they should have. This is not an entirely right issue. This isn't right versus left. Most people agree with that. And that's why there was this outrage that Curt Schilling was fired. But now there's Donald Trump today. So let's talk about this. Let's roll. You have the clip?
Yep.
Let's roll the clip of Donald Trump.
An issue here. Mr. Trump, please be specific. Tell us your views on LGBT, how you plan to be inclusive as president. Speak about North Carolina bathroom law in particular.
Oh, I had a feeling that question was going to come up. I will tell you. Well, look, North Carolina did something that was very strong. And they're paying a big price, and there's a lot of problems. And I heard one of the best answers I heard was from a commentator yesterday saying, leave it the way it is right now. There have been very few problems.
He's just displayed he has no idea.
North Carolina, what they're going through with all of the business that's leaving and all of the strife, and that's on both sides. You leave it the way it is. There have been very few complaints the way it is. People go, they use the bathroom that they feel is appropriate. There has been so little trouble. And the problem with what happened in North Carolina is the strife and the economic.
Okay. Anyway, he goes on. He repeats himself. We don't have to watch the whole thing. And he goes on to say that transgender people should be able to use whatever bathroom they want. Okay. So for those, this is important, right? You can't. Again, if you just say I don't care about any of it, I want Donald Trump. Sorry. Let's just lay into this here. You cannot on we're Thursday. Yeah, you cannot on Wednesday night be outraged, and it's the number one trend, and I watched all of these Trump people. You cannot be outraged that Curt Schilling was fired for clearly speaking out against the transgender law. Even people like James Woods and celebrities, you cannot be outraged and point out how silly it is and then justify these remarks into the mental gymnastics the next day to say, well, no, it's okay for Trump to say that. First off, some people are trying to say here, well, you know why? Let me tell you why. If you believe he's politically incorrect, he's going to stay. This is the most spineless, politically correct statist answer you could possibly give. Not only has he displayed that he has no understanding of how state laws work or why this law was created in the first place, he's not an intelligent man. He doesn't know. Listen, he doesn't know. There's the combination of him not being very bright in understanding how government works, and he's now going to go back to the previous episodes, like I said, in a general election, he's going to be far more gentle on Hillary Clinton than he's been on Republicans. Watch, if he makes it through. He probably won't make it through if it goes to a second ballot, but let's assume that he does. Let's assume that he gets the delegates. This is the PC appeasing the left answer. Expect this in a general. So there's that. There's a politically correct. We know he's not willing to be politically incorrect when it's hard. This is an issue. He's caved, okay? You can't leave the laws the way they are. This gets into why is he in authoritarian status. The reason North Carolina had to create this law was because of a city ordinance in Charlotte. By the way, Donald Trump, I'm sure, knows this. If you're a landlord in New York City, you can be fined for using the proper gender pronouns. Remember we covered that?
Yep.
If you own a building in New York City and you're like, Dick's in the bathroom and you go in the ladies' room. If you do that, you can be fined. And what does that really mean? You can lose your business. You can be sued. This happens in New York City. Another reason why New York values suck. Oh, but I'm from New York. Yeah, your values suck. If the values of a city involve fining somebody for recognizing biology, the values of that city suck. So that's what happened. We know that's happened in New York. That's what happened with Charlotte, basically forcing these places, businesses to saying, no, you have to let people use whatever bathroom they feel like. So the state came in and said, no, use the bathroom that you were born with. Let's simplify the confusion. And people can talk about religious protection. We've talked about this last week. They try and lie and say that it discriminates against gay people. It has nothing to do with gay people. It has to do specifically with businesses, churches, organizations having the right to say, listen, you've got a John Thomas, don't go in the girls' room. And it was necessary because of Charlotte. The law was created in response to encroaching government power. Okay, that's why. So you can't leave it the way it is. You don't know what you're talking about. And, of course, you don't know what you're talking about. And you're trying to use it to appease a politically correct left. If you were protesting Curt Schilling being fired on ESPN on Wednesday and then doing mental loop-de-loops to justify Trump's remarks the next day, come on. Just say you don't care. I have no problem with people who don't care. But you can see the timelines, right? Oh, this is ridiculous. Men shouldn't be in the girls' restroom. This is ridiculous. I support North Carolina. I'm going to boycott Bruce Springsteen. Then this Trump thing comes up. Well, you know what? Maybe it doesn't matter anyway. Let's talk about the economy. My only request is that you be consistent.
I match your cop-out with another cop-out. I see your cop-out. I raise you another. Now, here, play devil's advocate. We got like 2 minutes. What do you think? And maybe you're not prepared for this. Tennessee, I believe it is. The governor, Republican, pressuring businesses with tax hikes if they don't support the law. There's one for you.
You mean if they don't
support the same kind of bill that is being passed in North Carolina, the same H-1B, whatever it's called.
How do you pressure them?
I don't know. Just pressure them with tax hikes if they don't get in suit.
So you say, okay.
Or honor the bill. I'm not sure exactly.
In other words,
the
you
details.
say, hey, I don't know, Queer Burger, you're going to let people use whatever restrooms they want. We're going to tax you more?
No. He's for the bill. He wants the transgender bill so that, like North Carolina has passed.
Right. So he wants it to be bathroom on your biological gender. But my point is, so let's say a private business like, I don't know, Queer Burger or whatever it is, Gay Burger, says, hey, we want to let anyone use whatever bathroom. This governor wants to tax that business more?
I think so. I think that's the gist I got.
Well, if it's a gist you got, I would need to read up on it more. My initial reaction would be disagree. And if I haven't read up on it, I've been on the road performing, so if this just happened recently, but I would have to read up on it. My issue would be if it's businesses lobbying against it, trying to force other businesses to recognize any kind of a bathroom. But, this isn't just businesses. It also goes to public buildings. That's what you have in these other states, too. So in public buildings, I do think it should be left to businesses. I think that, just like I think bed and breakfast should have the right to say, I don't want to marry 2 guys named Ted. Go to another one, or they don't have to bake a cake with 2 wieners on it. So yeah, I would, at first glance, be against that law. Oh, we have to go. Well, we'll come back and fight about this more.
Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but they fought with expert timing.
And now for Sean King Claims Things.
Well, all right, Mr. King, I am so glad that we have that saga behind us and we can just move forward on a purely professional basis.
Yes. Me too, as well.
Great. Now, of course, you're aware that there have been accusations that you've plagiarized this recent article of yours. Is this, in fact, just shoot me straight, is this your article?
Yes. That is my article.
Okay, so I just want to be clear, for the record, you are, in fact, claiming that this is an original piece of content from you.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so people claiming that it came from this other publication, there's no basis in it.
I wrote that as well.
I'm sorry, what do you mean?
From the other publication.
You just said it was original, that it wasn't in another publication.
Yes, but I did it.
Let me ask you something. Did you make this computer?
Yes, I did in fact make that personal computer.
Mr. King, are you just claiming things?
Yes.
What about these pants I'm wearing? Did you make these pants?
Yes.
You sewed them, stitched them?
Yes, I did.
Manufactured them?
Yes.
And distributed them?
Yes.
Did you carry it to the store and place a sales tag on it?
Yes.
What about the liquidation stickers? Did you put those in the pants?
Yes, that is my sticker.
These glasses, did you make these glasses?
Yes.
You are claiming that these glasses, right here on my head, you made them?
Yes, I am claiming those glasses.
Your complete and utter lack of regard for the truth is nothing short of remarkable.
I've been told that before. That's been this week's installment of Sean King Claims Things.
All right, glad we were dancing in the studio. I was pushing my cleavage together because, you know what? I'm going to be...
It's Thursday. It's practically the weekend.
I'm going to be...
That's why.
Don't say what day it is. We have some of our wonderful affiliates who run it, not necessarily on Thursday.
Well, people could be listening to this
WEZS
a
New
month
Hampshire,
from now.
WHC Northern
Who
Florida,
knows?
Patriot Voices Northern Michigan, KLID Missouri, WHAM, Cone, Alaska, WKMQ Missouri, a few more that I'm missing.
You didn't memorize those, you're reading those.
I am reading those. Those are right in front of me. I have my cholesterol numbers right below them on my notes for today. I don't know why those are there.
How was it, by the way? Is it good?
Fantastic.
That's great.
My cholesterol numbers are fantastic, and they got way better when I started eating more meat and fat.
I gotta break it to you. I wasn't actually interested.
Oh, okay. Well, that's reasonable. Not gay, Jared. That's absolutely reasonable. We have a few stories. You know, let me start with this here. We have Rubin coming up after the break. Dave Rubin. I was performing at Bucknell University. And, I'm great. It was one of those things. The date got mixed. The venue got mixed. So it was a middle of the road show. But Tom over there who hosted it, he produces Milo's podcast. Great guy. Nice guy. We did this show. Started out as stand-up, and then I blew out my knee doing my penguin impression. And I just
happens to the best of us.
I just forgot my whole set list because it was just blinding pain. But we did a Q&A with the audience. And a few things that were remarkable with the audience. For those listening, people who listen to this tend to be relatively educated. They tend to be in the know. They're pretty engaged. If you're listening to this show, typically you know more than the average citizen regarding politics. There were some protesters. There were some people who showed up, some leftists who were there to not laugh. So when we started talking, having a discussion, asking questions, the first question I always ask is, what is the fundamental role of government? And no leftist has ever answered this at a program. And, of course, the conservatives answer it. It's to protect the inalienable rights of the people. And then the leftists would say, well, which rights? Well, isn't it great that we have the Constitution as a blueprint? This one guy who was a Bernie Sanders supporter was saying, isn't the government's job to represent the most amount of people? I said, no. He said, I really want them to redistribute wealth, and I think that's because it needs to be what's better for people. I said, no, you need to substantiate that. He wasn't able to. And I asked him, well, okay, what do you believe? He said, fairness. I said, what about something like a flat tax? He said, well, no, that's not fair. This is true, by the way, and you can ask Tom over there at Young Americans for Liberty. You could feel the wave over the room of conservatives realizing that the leftists, who are professional protesters, who tried to ban Milo from campus, who weren't happy that I was showing up on campus, they had no idea what conservatives were thinking. This really happened in real time, and I think it's important for you to hear this. He said, no, because that would hurt the poor more, because they end up paying and the rich don't pay anything. I said, it seems to me you have a problem with the general concept of percentages. He said, what do you mean? I said, if I make $100,000 and I pay $20,000, and then I make $1 million and I pay $200,000, how is that not fair? He said, oh, that's a flat tax? I said, yeah, what did you think it was? I thought it was like a flat fee that everyone paid. I said, okay, so what I just described to you, is that fair? Well, it's more fair than I thought. And I said, yeah, but you already voted. You absolute butthole. At this point, he had already voted for Bernie Sanders. And he was like, well, no, it's our duty to vote. I said, it's not a virtue for you to go out and vote. You don't even know what a flat tax is. You have no idea what this is. You're welcome.
He never stopped to think about how those numbers didn't work?
No. He never stopped.
I think that, there's no way a poor person could pay, say, $10,000, $20,000 of taxes.
It never occurred to him. And no one corrected him from the left. There was a whole group of people, more leftists. Not a single one knew.
They probably didn't know either.
No, they didn't know. The only people who spoke up were the Republicans, conservatives, saying, no, that's not a flat tax. And then he was willing to reconsider it. Same thing, we had women who were talking about feminism on campus, and they believed in safe spaces. They could not name one single right afforded to men that weren't afforded to women in 2016. And we ended up having a dialogue, and afterward they came up and they thanked me, and they said, hey, we appreciate you at least letting us, speak. A lot of conservative speakers come here with cue cards. They don't actually answer any questions. So, and actually that's something that a lot of people do. Al Franken does that, where he goes with cue cards from the audience. I used to know a stand-up comedian who would do that. He'd be like, hey, I'm going to do some improv comedy. And the cue card was always like Keanu Reeves making a pizza, and he was doing it, and then, no way, making a pizza like Keanu Reeves, and everyone who's seen his act is like, okay, improv, we get it. So we actually had a dialogue with these kids, and you will be sometimes astounded as to the very, it doesn't mean they're stupid, but the very basic ideas of which they've never really thought. And afterwards, something that struck me. This is why we do this program. And we have very smart people on this program. Rubin's a smart guy. We've had Gadsat on. We have molecular biologists.
How many degrees does Gerald have these days?
I don't know how many he has.
I've lost track.
We've had psychiatrists who lecture across the country, and then we also play Spot the Tranny. We have all kinds of silly stuff as well. But if it seems like something like this, if you think it's, well, why is that reductive? When you have a significant portion of kids in college who are getting master's degrees who don't know what a flat tax is, it's important. These kids couldn't name the 3 branches of government. That's why Schoolhouse Rock, I'm such a big advocate. You can learn the preamble of the Constitution, the 3 branches of government, what their role is, how a bill becomes a law, and your conjunctions, and you can learn it in the span of an afternoon. Kids aren't getting a basic education on college campus. Afterward, this girl came up who was all about, police brutality and feminism and safe spaces. She said, well, thank you for at least listening. She said, I've never heard the opinions you espoused before, so I wasn't ready for it. I said, thank you. I said, I appreciate that, but let me bring something up to you. I said, every single conservative here in this audience has heard all of your opinions. Every opinion you express tonight, they've heard it before. I didn't even really have to answer these questions. I just happened to have the microphone. I said, you know why? Because it's the same opinion of all your professors, and they've had to defend it. Their entire life, they've heard nothing but your opinions. Everything you've expressed, they've heard multiple times, and have been able to substantiate why they disagree with it. You have not even heard one opinion that I expressed tonight. I said, so if you want to talk about diversity, who do you think is surrounding themselves with a more intellectually diverse group? She said, you know what? That's true. I really should educate myself. I should learn more. She had never heard anybody say the wage gap is a myth. Just didn't believe me. This girl, Tom, who's listening there from Bucknell, people were astounded when I talked about statistics. Brought up police brutality. I said, well, if we talk about, police shootings with young black children, actually, you're more likely to be shot as a young white person. Well, I don't believe you. I said, okay, let's give you as much leeway as possible and me as little as possible. That's how we try and frame these debates. Let's say that's not true. I said, could we at least acknowledge that statistically black Americans commit more crimes, that it would probably correlate the arrests or cops shooting them would correlate, if not in an inverse correlation compared to white people with their violent crime rate? And she said, well, I don't know where those statistics should. I don't really know what statistics are anyway. What are they really? They can just say anything. I said, no, statistics are they're a numerical equation that is verifiable, that you can observe, that is used to estimate correlation and causation. It's not an opinion. It's not a feeling. It's not a safe space. That's what statistics are. Well, I don't agree. I disagree. Actually, I disagree. This is what's happening on college campuses. And sometimes we start off, we'll get into a lot today, but it can get nerdy. You need to realize some people don't even have a basic understanding of government or know what a flat tax is. Dave Rubin, after the break. He's one of the smart ones. Stay tuned.
Whoa, Jared, what are you doing?
Shoot bad guys.
With what?
My AR-15.
Where'd you get it?
AR-15.com.
Oh, there's another one.
Kapoo!
You got him.
Yeah.
Thank God for AR-15.com. They have AR-15 and accessories for sale and the best advice there is on the web. Oh, no, there's another one.
Kapoo!
You got him.
Yeah.
With your what?
AR-15.
From where?
AR-15.com.
That's the best place to go, and that's the takeaway because this commercial's about to stop.
This week in Not Gay Jared's diet habits. What is that? Is that an energy drink?
Yeah.
What is that next to it?
Some Skittles.
What did you have for dinner?
The first half of the Skittles.
You know your body can't be healthy, right?
I assume so.
It's not possible to be healthy eating like that.
Oh, well, I had an apple earlier.
Stay tuned for more of Not Gay Jared's diet habits. All right, we are glad to bring on our first guest. I don't know if I'd use the word glad, but you can see his show on. He's already laughing before we even bring him in. He doesn't understand the rules of broadcasting, this hack. YouTube.com/Rubin. Rubin Report. You can watch it all over iTunes or at TV. Dave Rubin, thanks for being on, sir.
Crowder, I love this. You were just on my show. We're doing an old school cross promotion right now. This is very professional, man.
Sponsored by the Colgate Hour. Which is funny. We're kind of going back to that. Have you noticed that? We went from like all, ad breaks with a ton of ads, and now it's going back to sponsored content. Like the full program has one or two main sponsors. It's everything old is new again.
Everything old is new. Sponsored content, as long as they're not telling you what to say, it's pretty good. Because, there's some products that I wouldn't mind having a nice red wine bottle behind me and talking about how I'm drinking it. I don't have one behind me at the moment, but I think that would be pretty sweet.
Well, one of our sponsors is simplifiedwine.com, so you should do that. They ship wine to your door. You call, you're like, I like this Pinot, this is my budget, and then he curates it and sends it to you.
What if I steal them from you right now?
You could steal them. He doesn't really have any money. So he pays me in swill, and it's all twist up.
You're doing this for money?
Yeah, I know. What sell out? That's kind of the conundrum. So okay, we were just talking about this on your show. People talk about media and sort of being corporate sellouts. I've always been open on this channel. We have a very select few sponsors every now and then. We just make money on whatever the general ad revenue is. But yeah, I want to pay Not Gay Jared and our employees well. I want to grow and increase influence. At what point do you think that crosses over into, when does it become a problem?
Well, look, it's different. It's different for everybody. And if you have integrity, which I think you do, and I think I do, it makes it trickier, right?
Right.
No integrity there. You're faking it pretty decently.
I fake it pretty well. Yeah, it's all a sham. I've got the Koch brother money in back.
Yeah, you do a nice job with that. I'm still trying to get that the big fracking money that you mentioned on my show.
Big fracking, yes.
I want Burns slant oil drilling money. Remember that from The Simpsons?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that slant drilling. It was pretty brilliant. That's what caused the Who Shot Mr. Burns episode. Anyway.
Wow, that's right. I didn't realize you were such a Simpsons trivia guy. Sorry, continue.
Almost everything I know from comedy is from seasons like 4 to 8. Those prime years of The Simpsons. Oh yeah, I love it. Actually, I watched The Simpsons this past Sunday, season 27. It was an episode like all about Apu and the Quickie Mart. And I laughed a couple times, and I was like, all right, that's the best they can do now. But it's pleasant. Because, usually I'm watching TV, and I'm like, oh, this is all horse garbage. So, if I can laugh twice in a half hour.
But this is actually out on FCC radio, so don't make Not Gay Jared's job harder.
Sorry.
Nah, it's okay. No, you're right. I have a good friend actually who does a lot of voices in The Simpsons, and she's a conservative, and she talked about how hostile it is there just when they're in there recording, how nobody else is in the entertainment industry, and she has to keep it a secret. And you would know her right away. She's one of the prominent voice actresses on there. But yeah, it was a great show. They tried to be Family Guy for a while. Remember, because they were losing steam, and Family Guy came in, and you could sort of see it seeping into the influence, and you're like, it doesn't work. Don't try and be Family Guy. Be Simpsons. Kind of like, be Dave Rubin. Don't be, I don't know who else. I don't know. You're Dave Rubin. I don't know. Don't be Larry King. Because now you're working with him.
Insert other generic gay guy. Not gay guy.
Yeah, or not gay. I'm not very good at the gay thing. I'm good from like 10 p.m. to like 1 a.m. Those are my main gay hours. Anyway,
My fans claim I'm the best. I don't want to brag.
You had a question.
What point does it become a problem? People talk about mainstream media and corporate media, right? But everyone has to make a living. So at what point is it genuinely a problem or someone's not being honest?
Yeah, well, look, I have a great situation here with Aura because, as I told you a couple minutes ago on my show, they let me do whatever I want, and I'm obviously salaried by them. But their goal, they have never pulled me aside and say this, say that. I honestly, 100% honestly, I don't even know the executives that are in this building right now. I don't even know their political opinions on anything, truly. And that's a beautiful thing because it allows me to go about my own business in a way where I'm only beholden to my thoughts. That's pretty sweet.
That is such a contrast when I was with traditional media. Oh my gosh, I was always getting into trouble constantly.
Right, so that's, look, that's why people don't trust mainstream media anymore. Right this very second, I do have my turn in the right way. I've got an IFB in, and that's just so I can hear you. But I don't have anyone in the control room barking orders at me, or I hope they're not going to. Maybe they'll start right now. But you know what I mean? Because of that, we can just do this freely. This is the beauty of the internet, and that's why we have to make sure that as we've seen some of the screws tightening on the internet, where we know shadow banning is going on Twitter, and you always tweet every now and again, you'll say subscribe to my show before they kick me off Twitter.
Right.
And
we've had worse with Facebook. We're actually in litigation right now with Facebook because it's not just they censored us. They did something wrong financially where we can't get into all of it on air, but it is right now they are apologizing and trying to remedy it. And yeah, this kind of stuff happens a lot, and a lot of people don't have the power to stand up to it. It is generally anti-conservative, and that's because they see the conservatives as the radical free speech people and the hate speech. And so you're sort of, I guess, an unwilling brother in arms, like I said, you pulled into it.
That's a good way to describe it. I mean, that's sort of how I feel, because we can disagree about as much political stuff as you want to get into, but I absolutely, more than anything else, believe in free speech. You can say absolutely whatever you want, short of direct call for violence, direct call for murder and harming someone. But short of that, you can say whatever you want, and I will counter your speech with speech. I will not silence you. I will not stop. You know, a couple of weeks ago, they had these people, these Trump people wanted to get to a rally in Arizona, and there were Bernie people that were literally blocking the highway. That's not, you know, we have a social contract that we should allow each other to speak and then beat their speech. You got a better idea? Let's have a battle of ideas. If you don't let people have the battle of ideas, then actually you just strengthen a lot of the other side. And I know you're not a big Trump guy, but a lot of the reason that the Trump stuff is working is because his people feel that they can't get their message out. Now, that may not be true at all, right?
No, but I understand. I agree with it. And then, like, so, and I've defended that. You know, I've written about that multiple times and defended it, like in Chicago in the Bernie rally. But like you said, you go, well, you have to get to a point where what is not defensible is a direct call to action. And I'm going, okay, you're getting into territory where it's punch them in the face and I'll pay your legal fees. You know, then all of a sudden Shank's like, you can't yell fire at a crowded theater. I'm like, well, it's absurd. No one's arguing that. But then you have some people who are arguing you can offer to pay someone's legal fees if they punch someone in the face. We're getting into indefensible territory. And that's my issue with, like, hey, it doesn't have to go this. You can still make a valid argument and not go full crazy.
Well, this is where everyone, except for this little sliver, I think somewhere in the middle between classic liberals and libertarians, has gone completely bonkers. So, of course, you're right. Trump is inciting violence when he implies that if someone punches someone, he's going to pay for the legal fees, and then someone get punched, right? So we have somewhat of a connection there, right? Now, at the same time, the day of the Trump rally in Chicago, it wasn't the Trump people that were outside attacking cops and burning things and breaking windows. Bernie right? People. Those were Bernie people. So both sides are at fault here. And look, I don't think Bernie himself is instigating people to violence, but there is something behind the social justice movement that is allowing people to think that violence
it's very simple.
Is okay.
It's very simple.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, and this is what I say, and you may disagree. But when you call someone a racist, when you call someone a sexist, and a homophobe, and a fascist, and a transphobe, you've now made them out to be worse than Nazis. Would any of us disagree that if a Nazi walked on in who wanted to actually kill Jews, that it would be acceptable to jail that person? Of course not. We all would have a problem with Nazis. But when you treat someone, when you make them out to be less than human, you make it acceptable to treat them in a way that's subhuman. And that's what you're seeing. And it started with Tea Party's racist, and now everything is sexist, homophobic, transphobic. They think if you have a penis that you should use the male's locker room. Bruce Springsteen and Pearl Jam think they need to protest the state because that's hate speech equivalent to lynch mobs. And
Crowder,
that's
I'm going to get for talking to not that. I'm going to get stuff for just talking to a straight white male. You're the worst. You're the worst of the worst.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're a white male. Just, you know, he likes to party.
Yeah, but you know what? Actually, even the gay thing right now, gays are being shifted out of the pecking order. You know, this pecking order that the left has with this stuff. Gay men, and especially gay white men, are really being pushed out of that. Now we're viewed as privileged, so they're sort of done with us too, which is obviously a problem.
Well, because also gay white men tend to be very successful. I mean, you tend to fill that end of the bell curve tend to be smarter, tend to be creative. It's one of those things. Milo talked about it. You know, it's just people may not like hearing this. It's just a statistic. Gay men tend to be relatively smart for whatever reason, good looking and successful. Therefore,
and then you must hate those people because they're successful. Is that how it works?
I think that's how it works in the left. I just don't like you because you're gay. So, you know, that started off that way. What just happened? Why are you looking around?
Oh, we froze there.
You froze? It's not. Are we good? Oh, we're good. We can see you. You're fine. It must be. Tell Aura to spring for high speed there, Dave Rubin. And it happened right at time when I said, I don't like you because you're gay, punchline. And he's looking around like people are going to go, oh, no, he really offended him.
How do I run?
I knew you couldn't be talking about me. That's why. So I'm looking at my people going, you can't be talking about me.
I was talking to the gay intern. No, but that's my point, right? Is so for us, it's been so much further behind you on the trail where we've been condemned. And now you're experiencing it. Well, let me ask you this. Where do you feel when they just toss it all in? You know, like a good example, North Carolina, right? They go, the anti-LGBTQ laws. First off, I think anyone who uses LGBTQ seriously should be roasted with their own Thanksgiving turkey with a stake of holly driven through their heart.
Joe McHale. There's an I in there now. There's an I.
It's LGBTQ AAIP. But LGBTQ is widely accepted. Even Joel McHale went up, and I remember his stand-up was he just started, he's like, what the F, North Carolina? What the F? I want to give all my money to the LGBTQ community without a sense of this is kind of ridiculous. How do you feel being the G? This is entirely, by the way, bathroom situation. It has nothing to do with gay people at all. How do you feel with that, where they just lump you in with that same moniker?
Well, I'm glad you made that distinction first, because I've said this many times, that being a gay male or being a lesbian or something else, you know, we've put all these letters together, but the truth is that I don't know intrinsically more about the trans experience than you do. Now, it's an other, right, in terms of sexuality, I suppose. So that's why these people are grouped together. And I know some trans people, and I have some good trans friends, but I'm not inherently, by being gay, that doesn't make me know anything more about their experience. But this, without getting into the minutia of this specific law, because we know these things come and then, you know, 2 months later they're forgotten about. But it is so directly linked to what you said before about the everyone's racist, homophobe, sexist, every other thing. And that's why I'm really proud, if I've done anything since we started this show in September, that I've really helped normalize and get to the mainstream this regressive left phrase. Because these people, they are pretending to be progressives. They are pretending to be for progress. And yet what they are for really is regression. They are for viewing us all only by the color of our skin or by our sexuality, or ironically by our religion, even though progressives are supposedly the most against religion there is, right? And I say this as an atheist. So, so there's a lot there, and that's why I want people to. I know you've been fighting the good fight on your side for the right, and I know you want the Republican Party and the right to get back to some decent ideals and have that battle of ideas, and that's why I'm doing it on the left.
Can we have you for one more shorter segment? Can we do that? Are you in the studio? Okay. All right. YouTube.com/Rubin Report. You can watch them everywhere. We're going to talk more about LGBTQ, AAIP, and a silent number 2. Louder with Crowder. Stay tuned.
This is breaking news on Louder with Crowder. I'm Perry Matheson. We're taking down the wake of the New York primary to Governor John Kasich as he makes his last campaign stop at a Chipotle Mexican cuisine.
I can't tell you how glad I am to be here among everyday Americans who serve not only delicious food, but really join us together in a positive fusion of Mexican and American cuisine. I'm also happy to open up the floor for questions, but not too long. I really want to dig into this taco salad. Yes, you, sir. Oh, now, who let him in here? It's a public space. But still, are you just following me around? Playing Semisonic's Closing Time? Pretty much. You don't have anything better to do, huh? I lost my job. A lot of Americans lost their job. That's why I'm running for the highest office in the land. In Ohio, are you a governor? Well, I don't think that's really. You suck. Hey, I do not suck. All right, he is a busy man, so we have to let him go. We can't take him for too long. YouTube.com/Rubin Report. Dave Rubin, thank you for being here. We were talking about this before the break. Yeah, you know, I've been fighting this fight for a long time on YouTube, really going back to 2006, if you count some semi-political videos. And it wasn't very popular back then. There were no Dave Rubins. You know, everyone was a militant leftist atheist because they were in the environment. They hated George Bush, and so everyone who was conservative was racist. And so I think my reputation precedes me because a lot of those people have sort of transitioned, but still begrudgingly like, no, but I still hate that Crowder guy, whereas nothing I'm saying is any different. So I think you drafted back in there behind the flying V, but I'm glad to help you out, and I'm glad you're in the fold.
I'm glad that I can provide you with a little self-affirmation.
Yes. Well, people like you didn't exist. You did not exist. Or at least maybe you were under certain, certain contracts or authority where maybe you couldn't.
Yeah.
But people out there just didn't believe you existed.
I will be 100% honest with you, as I would be with you all the time. I didn't have my awakening yet. I mean, it really cracked in the last 2 years. So I was what I would now consider to be far left, and my intentions were always good, and that's why the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I think a lot of these people have good intentions. Sometimes you'll say, well, these leftists, and there's this implication that they're all like, just profoundly and intentionally evil.
Yes.
Some of them are evil. I'll give you that much. But a lot of them do think that this social justice warrior stuff, that all of this stuff really is the right road to take. And that's why I've tried to make my show about ideas, because I don't want to demonize them to the point where I can't talk to them. I've been trying to show people that there is a little bit of a wider net here, and that's why it's working.
Yeah, I think you're right. I separated into, and I was writing a book about this a while back. Maybe I'll finish it, but all the conservative publishers were like, we don't really do comedy, and it's not doomsday enough. They said everything has to be an Obama doomsday book right now, or it doesn't sell. This is in like the wake of Obama blueprint and I think killing whatever was. There's so many killing books, but it separates.
How many killings has O'Reilly done already?
Well, eventually I think it'll lead to killing O'Reilly, and then it'll spare us all.
That's a big one.
I think what happened is. There are two kinds of, there are what I call modern leftists, or you call them the regressive left, and then just the American idiots. Because Green Day is American idiot, right? They went to the UK to record their anti-American song, and people pumped their fists, yeah, America sucks! And I remember seeing them live in Canada and Bright Eyes, and they would just come there and say, I'm moving to Canada, right? And it was an easy applause break. It was like as a comedian, right? You're in, hey, hello, Lancaster, and So they always come and bash Bush. And there are those people who lie, the James Camerons, the people out there in heads of media, the Sean Penns who are dishonest, who are so vested in the agenda they can't get off of it. And then I think there are a lot of people, like you said, who just buy it. There aren't bad intentions, but they believe it. And it's important to delineate between the two. But I think there are far more people who are malicious and dishonest than I wanted to believe for a long time. When you have Barack Obama going up and talking about the pay gap that we know is false, we know anyone with just a basic intern who can do statistics knows it's untrue. That's a president who's being dishonest to forward an agenda. And that's, I would say, my awakening, where I always said I don't want to attribute to collusion what can be attributed to incompetence. I think there's a lot more collusion than I once believed.
Well, it's funny to me because if you think about the Bernie campaign, right, he relentlessly talks, obviously, money in politics is the #1 thing. There's no question. And I think people on both sides of the aisle do think that money in politics is a huge problem. But, he also talks about
totally for Citizens United, but you can continue.
You are for Citizens United?
Absolutely. Do you know why it started? Don't have any idea why?
We're gonna go
People
off
have no idea why. Do you know why Citizens United exists? Because they wanted to ban an anti-Hillary Clinton documentary. That's the court case. They were saying, no, you can't release this before an election, and it was going to be banned. They were going to say, nope, you can't fund this. This can't go out. And so these filmmakers fought it so they would have the right to make an anti-Hillary Clinton documentary. That's the basis for it. And so they said, no, corporations have the same rights as people. They recognize them as personhood, so these filmmakers could make an anti-Hillary documentary. People need to read up on the history of citizens. There needs to be corrections because of that case, but it's not overturning the right of businesses to have a say in politics.
All right, so be that as it may, and as I said, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Right. They had some good intentions with the law then, I'll give you that. But that doesn't mean that the money in politics isn't a problem. But anyway,
sure.
The point is that when Bernie says this stuff, money in politics, and he talks about all America's wars, and he talks about health care, what he's really saying is that Barack Obama has been a horrible president.
Right.
Right? Because, look, we can all, again, spend the endless amount of time blaming George Bush for Iraq, and nobody's defending the Iraq war anymore. And guess what? Saddam Hussein was a pretty horrible guy doing some horrible stuff, and we didn't have YouTube as accessibly back then to see all the awful things he was doing and throwing gays off roofs and, you know, the horrible torture chambers and gassing the Kurds and all kinds of terrible stuff.
But he loved Raisin Bran Crunch, so there's that.
Right. But the point is that if, as Bernie is running on, saying all the American wars and our healthcare system so screwed up and the money in politics, well, it's been a pretty left guy in the Oval Office for the last 7 years. So Obama hasn't, I guess what Bernie's saying is, well, Obama hasn't done anything about our wars. There's still plenty of drone strikes, right? I think I just read this morning that we're sending 200 troops on the ground back to Iraq or something. You know, obviously our healthcare, Obamacare, didn't work out as well as Obama would have liked, because then Bernie wouldn't be talking about it.
Right.
So there's an interesting condemnation of the left by Bernie that I don't think people have quite woken up to.
I think you're right. And I was just, when I wrote about it, I was saying, well, who do you have to blame? Obama had, for the first several years, he could do whatever he wanted, and he did. And the same reason people are upset with Republicans is they haven't stopped any of it. What Obama's wanted, he's gotten done. And they just want more done. They just want more control. They want a public option. They want to keep moving further. And that's why I say, if people want to talk about extremes, I think I am far less extreme than certainly Bernie or Barack Obama. I don't think it's far more extreme to say, okay, hold on, this healthcare plan didn't work. Let's allow people to opt out. Let's allow private organizations, you know, exemptions. Let's allow insurance across state lines. Tort reform. One is a much more extreme position, and I think that's where people like you have had an awakening. And I've awakened. Listen, like we talked about, it's the clickbait, the issues right now. There's some dishonesty in the media on the right. And I think we both have a problem with that. And there aren't many people out there doing what you're doing. So, you know, even though you're off in Cabo.
It's lonely, man.
Well, it's not lonely when you're off in Cabo with all your, I don't know what you guys do. I'm assuming it's like a Folsom Street fair on the beach. But YouTube...
I'm married. We literally laid on the beach. My phone was locked in a safe for 9 days.
I don't buy it for a second. I don't buy it for a second. I don't buy it for a second. You people are scandalous, and I won't have it on my program here. YouTube.com/Dave Rubin. Thank you so much, brother, and stay tuned for more Louder with Crowder. This week in Not Gay Jared's diet habits. What are those, Cheez-Its?
Yeah, did you want some?
Are you dipping Cheez-Its in ranch?
Yes.
After you did the energy drink and Skittles earlier?
Yeah. It's just,
There's no way for your body to be able to function at anything close to optimal.
Don't worry about it. I ate asparagus.
Stay tuned for more of Not Gay Jared's diet habits. Glad to be back. Did you not have the mic on again? We're in the second hour.
Mine was not on then, but yours was on.
Producing with me in studio as always. By the way, people watching the live video stream, people who comment, they're always offbeat. It's because there's a delay in the live video stream. So we're actually dancing to the real song, and they're getting a couple seconds.
And there you go, lying to them again about your rhythm skills. You don't.
Well,
got
I don't have
it.
rhythm. I don't deny that I have no rhythm. But speaking of rhythm, getting back to the rhythm of the show, we have Gavin McInnes.
Yes.
At the half hour, the bottom of the hour. And then we have an exclusive with Curt Schilling.
Yes.
Got canned from ESPN. I don't think he minds us using that terminology. So a lot has been going on this week. By the way, tweet me at @SCrowder. What do you think? I want to know, really, from people who are Trump supporters. We have people who follow this program. It's no secret that I'm not a big fan. Where do you line up with the guy's comments on the trans bathroom laws? And where did you line up with Curt Schilling? Do you feel that your position is consistent? I would like to hear that. So, a couple of things we're going to talk about. Have you heard about this Whole Foods controversy?
I did. I saw the pictures going up, and I didn't really know what it was about, so I did some reading, and it's pretty hilarious, actually.
It is pretty funny. We have it up on my screen here. For those who didn't read it at the site, you can read it up at louderwithcrowder.com. So it started out, this horrible controversy. Gay guy asks to have a wedding cake made that says "Love wins." So there we go. We can see it right there. And then he tweeted out, "I can't believe Whole Foods," and it says "Love wins, fag," on the cake. saying the baker did a love wins, calling him the F word. The F word that we're not allowed.
The three-letter. The three-letter.
Yeah, he was referring to him as a cigarette. I find it so funny. I have to say F word. I bet you some stations are gonna. We're not gonna bleep that. It was on the cake. It said "Love wins fag." So right away, this didn't pass the sniff test because I'm going. Okay, this just seems like an incredible liability. It's not really clever. Why would someone do this?
From Whole Foods, the hipster bastion of
right, the
groceries.
hipster bastion of, except for, funny enough, the guy's actually a libertarian when it comes to the Affordable Care Act.
Well, it's from Texas. Did you know Whole Foods is a Texas company?
I've been to the first Whole Foods there in Austin.
Yeah.
Right near where Lance Armstrong had his bike and or testicle steroids shop. And it's very nice. It's very nice Whole Foods. I don't like Whole Foods. My wife loves Whole Foods. I think it's overpriced, and you can go to the local farmer's market. Anyway, that's not the point. Right away, it didn't pass the smell test. But at this point, it had already been trending, hashtag, right, social justice warriors all over the place. Oh, how dare you put this on a cake? Well, then we have security camera footage of this gay man with the Love Wins cake. What are you doing? Not Gay Jerry's like fidgeting around in his chair.
My chair's all messed up and caught on the carpet. We're good now.
Oh, it got caught on the carpet.
Yeah, we're good.
So we now have the security footage, which I have here up at the website, where he takes his cake, looks at the cake, and walks out without incident. So right away you're going, well, if I'm gay and I have the word fag written across my cake, I'll go, hey, I wanted Love Wins. Oh, you wrote Love Wins fag.
Yeah,
well, that's one way to do it.
Just go back up to the picture. Go back. It's like right dead center, too. There's no missing it if you're walking out with it accidentally.
There it is. Yeah, there's the picture right up on the screen. Yeah. There's no missing this. And if you're gay, you don't see a cake that says Love Wins fag. You're like, ho, that's one for you. Bye. You're upset. Yeah. Well, the camera footage at Whole Foods of this purchase taking place reveals nothing of the sort. So not only did Whole Foods come out and said this didn't happen. This is not true. A hoax debunked faster than Balloon Boy or Clock Boy.
Yes.
Or remember the kid who put a clock in a suitcase and he was like, I'm a science engineer. Yeah, you and Bill Nye are scientists. So
Muhammad.
Yeah, Muhammad. Was it named Muhammad?
I think it was. I think it was.
I don't know. He's in. How do you pronounce Qatar?
Qatar.
How do you pronounce it? I always pronounce
it. It's probably a different country now because it's been taken over by somebody else.
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter.
Someone's been thrown off a roof with a lisp at some point. Point is, Dave Rubin's not visiting anytime soon.
No.
So this hoax is debunked, and they say, no, this didn't happen. Not only did it not happen, the baker who made the cake, Little Wrinkle, is also gay. It came out. I was like, I wouldn't write that. I'm gay. So this is entirely false. It's entirely fake, manufactured. Just like we have another story where a man was expelled from Colorado State University for not raping a woman. He didn't rape her. The girl said that he didn't rape her, but a friend said that he did rape her, and so he was expelled. The ends justify the means with leftists, right? It doesn't matter if it's true or not. And people, why do you have to make it the right left? Because there is the right left. I was talking about this at the college, right, when I was talking with these students at Bucknell. There's one group of people who want to paint everyone as racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic is a new thing, androgynous phobic, intersex phobic. They want to paint everyone as though they're somehow discriminatory, horrible, just subhuman scum. Why? Because it makes it okay to treat them inhumanely. Right? If you believed that you could somehow manipulate people, if you could go back, manipulate people into not liking Hitler, sway public opinion, you'd probably say, hey, you know what? The ends justify the means. Mm-hmm. I can lie about Hitler if it means saving people. Well, they see people who disagree with them as people who need to be eliminated. And so right here, it doesn't matter that it's not true. I'm just going to put fag on there. It doesn't matter that I wasn't raped. Let's just get this guy expelled. And they're even harming other gay people. You know what's probably happened? This gay guy who made this cake, if he's not a Republican, he's probably a libertarian now. He's probably not on board with the social justice warrior LGBTQ AAIP
Say
movement.
anything to move and agenda, yeah. Yeah, did you see who it was? It was some liberal pastor from some
liberal pastor
from
yeah.
Mary the Gay's church.
A leftist pastor. Hey, listen, if you want to be a pastor and be gay, that's
fine.
fine.
Like Sean King's a pastor. Remember that?
Sean King is a pastor.
Yeah.
I always forget about that. Now, do you know what church?
I don't know, but I know he talked a lot about doing mission trips and things like that. I think down in, I want to say Haiti or something. That's about all I know.
Do you think he went down to Haiti and tried to tell him he was black?
I bet.
I want to know that.
I bet that's where he tested it out. I'm the American black.
Yeah.
Kind of.
We look very different.
Yeah, very different.
Very different. Different lineage. That was like his open mic, testing material out. Sean King went down to Zambia on mission work and convinced them.
That's a sketch series right there.
So this guy who's gay makes the cake and he gets blamed for... Now, here's my issue with it, right? This is what really matters. Same with the Ted Cruz sex scandal, right? Not a single one of these conspiracy theories has been... They've all been proven false or certainly not proven true. Time and time again, you can only prove so many things false and go, okay, we have to move on. That happens. That's front page. But when things are proven false, that's page 6, right? Love wins. Whole Foods, front page HuffPo. HuffPo, Salon, these places, nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found when it turns out that no one wrote, hey, fag, on a cake. They're nowhere to be found. That happened with me where they did this a while ago. I've looked behind the curtain, right? Both with conservatives, okay? With the right-wing media and left-wing media, okay? You name the network, I've done it. You name the show, I've probably done it. And this is what they do. HuffPo did it. They said, I yelled the N-word at CPAC. Chris Lash, it was front page. And then when they issued the retraction, but this was front page, dead center, trending. And then when they found out it was wrong, we were using the word knickers, and even in the video, if you go watch it, it's very clear. We say knickers and make a joke about the word knickers. You can not like the joke, but not lie and say you yell the N-word. The retraction is 6 pages in. The damage has already been done. And that's the same thing that leftists do with this guy who's been expelled for not raping somebody, or Mattress Girl. If you've been accused of it, the damage is done. Mm-hmm. And we are at a point, for sure, if we're talking about the rape issue, where there are probably far more male students whose lives are ruined by the accusation of rape with no substantiation than there are actual rapes on campus. I know it's hard to verify, but I would be willing to bet my bottom dollar if we could actually get into those numbers accurately. It is so much easier, like Lena Dunham, to sell books and falsely accuse someone of rape. By the way, you were reaching in your sister's hooch looking for rocks. And you're going to complain about fictional rape, right? So don't look at this literal child molestation.
You won't find
rape.
You won't find any shiny rocks up Lena Dunham's hooch.
It wasn't her. It was her sister.
Well, I'm just saying if you're talking about.
I can use that word. It sounds dirtier coming
hooch?
from you. Say hoo-ha.
Hoo-ha.
There is no good word for the female anatomy.
You got schwing schwang. You got lots of schwants.
No, that's for men.
I know. For men, you got lots of options.
Yeah, schmeckle, tallywhacker, doneger, one-eyed bald man, purple helmet warrior. You can go on all days. It goes, but with women, there's no term for it that you would want to use in front of your mother.
How do you feel about bajingo?
Is that an actual term?
I heard it on Scrubs.
For a woman's?
For a woman, yeah, bajingo. So
I don't know.
There's an options.
We've gotten way off track here, but it's true. Anyway, tweet me your favorite word for the female anatomy at S. Crowder that you think is appropriate. I'm not talking about like boudoir talk. I'm talking if you have to talk, like, if I talked with my mom when I got kicked in the nuts in school, I can say, Mom, this girl kicked me in the nuts. Remember when kids would do that in school because it was like their trend? Male privilege, whack. But if I were a woman, if I were a little girl, how would I go to my dad and say, Dad, I was kicked in the blank?
Or how would you talk to a 5-year-old girl if you had to like non-pervertedly bring that topic up?
I don't talk to little kids. It's a liability.
It's a liability.
You just say one thing. Again, how often, I told this story before. I had a kid who was like a third cousin. His mom was a drunk. His dad was a drug addict. All lived on our block. And he asked me for my Game Boy. I said, no, you can't have my Game. And I had given him my old Game Boy, by the way, Mikael. I had given him my old Game Boy. But he asked for my new one at this point. It was a Game Boy Color. When I said no, he started yelling at the top of his lungs, pedophile. The top of his lungs. I slapped him. I did slap him. And I shouldn't have, but I was just like, pedophile, whack. Oh, what did I do? And then I had some decisions to make. Here's the sad part. That kid's dad didn't have visitation rights because everyone said he accused him of being a pedophile. And this kid went on to accuse 5 more people of being pedophiles because they didn't give him their Tony Hawk Pro Skateboarder 2 video game. My point here, to tie it back, is the LGBTQ, AAIP, or Mattress Girl, or these people who falsely claim rape, are no better than 5-year-old children who simply yell and scream to get what they want. The difference is you destroy lives. So, if anyone tells you, I can't believe that happened at Whole Foods, send them the story. Make sure they know it's not true. Mattress Girl, you need to make sure they know it's not true. You will be stunned to realize how many people in your circle of friends.
Sean King's not white.
Yeah. Sean King's not black.
Not black.
Sean King's not black. Gosh, you're confusing me.
Confusing me.
It's like Black Like Me, only lies. Louder with Crowder will be back. My brain is. Okay, business time. Really simple. Some of you don't know where to find me. Louderwithcrowder.com. Half a dozen to 10 articles every single day. Twitter. Follow me at @SCrowder. Louder with Crowder podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, or any other podcatching device. YouTube.com/Steven Crowder, or you can type in Steven Crowder on Facebook and be one of the million-plus fans, or join the mailing list. There are so many ways for you to stay connected. You have no excuse. You have no excuse, just like you have no excuse for those rolls that are just cascading over your belt buckle. You should be ashamed. Unless you're a lady, then you deserve a get her a medal. And now for Sean King Makes Excuses, sponsored by Twitter and Jack Dorsey.
Mr. King, there have been several allegations, not the least of which is that you are in fact not black. Also that you have plagiarized your recent content. Also that you have lied about the transferring of funds as they relate to Black Lives Matter and other racially motivated nonprofits.
Yes, but you don't understand something.
What's that?
My mom was a whore, y'all.
Calling your mom a whore doesn't sound like a very black thing to do.
I mean, she was a real filthy whore.
I don't think we're buying it.
Man, I'm telling you, that bitch was a whore.
Getting blacker.
It's not my fault that my mom slept with a man who was white, black. She slept with so many people I don't remember.
You're really not very good at this.
That's been this week's installment of Sean King Makes Excuses. That feels good. I was just sitting back into my chair. I got my lower back support right.
I'm glad.
It's always nice when you
happy for
hit that right in the right mode. Coming up after the break, we will have Gavin McInnes, and we will play newest gender pronoun. For people who don't know, there are a lot of gender new nouns for genders on Tumblr. There are hundreds, in case you didn't know. They call them otherkins. And we are going to see who knows that deep, dark realm of the world best. Okay, speaking about equality, here's another story, and Courtney Kirchhoff wrote about this at the website. Of course, she's brilliant. You can follow her at Courtney Scoffs. We've talked about this, about women on the front lines, right? Equality. Great example. We've had Karen Strawn on. Women shouldn't have gotten the right to vote the way they did. Take that out of context. Go ahead. The reason most women didn't want to vote is because they didn't want the draft. They didn't want the mandatory requirements that came with voting. It wasn't seen as a basic human right. It was seen as a privilege. They didn't want to perform bucket duty, was mandatory firefighter service. So most women were going, well, if that's what comes with the right to vote, no, thank you. And guys won them the right to vote. Not saying women shouldn't have the right to vote today. My point is, it was never actually based on equality. Because equality would be, okay, you vote, you're in the draft, and you have to perform firefighter services, and if you don't, you're kicked out and you're shunned from society. Same thing, there have been laws to protect female spouses that really don't exist or certainly aren't enacted to protect male spouses, right? Abuse actually goes both ways. Mothers tend to be more abusive than fathers. People don't realize that because there isn't a Lifetime movie of the mother pushing the father down the stairs. It happens all the time. So, equality. We talked about this. Women going into the military. Would it lower standards? Well, here is something that is statistically observable. What are statistics? Said the lady at Bucknell.
They're biased, all the statistics.
In the Marines, women can't do pull-ups. The people who are going out there in a very physical endeavor to defend your country on the front lines are less equipped than junior high school boys. Let's just be real here. Okay? Data collection in 2013 found, we have this up at the website, I have it up on the screen. Data collection in 2013 found that 55% of female recruits couldn't meet the minimum requirement. A study of 318 female Marines found that women could complete, on average, 1.63 pull-ups. Roughly 20% of those Marines could only hit 3 pull-ups if they use their lower bodies in a kipping motion. The average for a woman was 1.63 pull-ups. Listen, I know some guys out there can't do that. You're weak. You are a very weak man if you can't do 2 pull-ups, okay? And it's something that, by the way, as a man, doesn't take more than a few weeks. I've talked about this. When it comes to pull-ups, I told that story about my dad breaking the school record, right?
Yeah, you did tell me that.
Yeah, it wasn't a woman who broke it.
She's a
No, hold on. I don't know what just happened there. What happened? My dad, my uncle set the school pull-up record in junior high. Okay, I don't know if it was in Detroit somewhere, and it was, I want to say 9 at the time. Another guy came in and beat it, and it was I want to say like 11. So my uncle went down to my dad. My dad was 3 years younger. He said, hey man, you got to restore the family honor. You have to set the pull-up record. This is all true. We'll have Pops Crowder on maybe next week to talk about it. It was his own personal hell for half of that year in school. He said, you got to restore the honor. I'm gone. I'm out of school now. My record got broken. So let's go downstairs. I went downstairs and they had a pipe. He said, let's see how many he could do. My dad couldn't do 1. My uncle wasn't a very nice older brother. He said, you're pathetic. And he just walked up. And my dad, every single day, went down and practiced pull-ups all the time. It's what we call greasing the groove, just to get to the point where he was able to do 1. He was able to do 2. And then the day where it came to set the school record, he went home and he had read that honey was good energy, so he actually just guzzled a bottle of honey, peanut butter banana sandwiches, and guzzled honey. And he went in and he set the school record with 13. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot. You're talking about junior high school, so I want to say he was 12 or 13. And then, so he was he lived in his own personal hell, but he got to that. Why? Because it was hard. He overcame it, and he was so scared to lose, right? He was terrified. And then his friend, actually, one of the Percheroni brothers, came in, and just a little short Italian guy came in the next year and blew it away with like 21. It wasn't even close.
Probably a weighted fraction.
Yeah, exactly. The point is, he took the challenge, and he didn't say, hey, well, can we scale this back? Took it, met it, did it. These women who are in the Marines, so let's be honest here. People say, oh, that person's tough, man. They're in the Marines. I wouldn't mess with them. This is a chick. She can only do 1.6 pull-ups.
What do you mean, you people?
I mean women.
What do you mean, you people?
I mean women. You're weak. They are weak, and they shouldn't be in positions that require any kind of physical attributes if they don't have them. So this is where we are in the military. At that point, I'm reading from the article, the Marine Corps allowed women to choose. This is the problem. Leads into this. Choose between pull-ups and the flexed arm hang as officials developed a new plan. You know what the new plan was? They developed a new plan. It was, crap. I mean, we lowered the PT requirements. This is a joke. Well, what is it? What are they not able to do? 10? What, can we lower it to 6? They can't do 2! What? They can't do 2? Yeah, we're going to put them out there with Chris Kyle? What? I know Chris Kyle's a Navy SEAL. I know he's not a Marine. The point is, that was their plan, was, oh, crap, we don't want Gloria Allred to be making a phone call. We can't even do, like, if we set the minimum at 1 pull-up, people are going to think we're being sexist because it's so embarrassing, because women are so ill-equipped at doing pull-ups. Let's just go to the flexed arm hang. By the way, for those of you who remember back when there was still the presidential fitness test, I think it was under Ronald Reagan, and before that, pull-ups were a part of it. The flexed arm hang was basically like being put in the stocks. It was embarrassment. It was for the boys who couldn't do a single pull-up, and so you had basically already failed, and you were trying to restore some kind of honor. Now, listen, that's sad in grade school gym. It shouldn't be happening when it comes to finding the best of the best for our service members. It's embarrassing for a 12-year-old boy to say, well, you want to join the Marines, you're going to be fighting ISIS where they're burning people alive in cages, you're going to be carrying these packs, you're going to be a part of a squad, so your capabilities actually affect those around you and their lives depend on you, but you can't even do the pull-ups. Let's go with the flexed arm hang. What's next? Well, we can't do push-ups. Let's do lady push-ups. Let's just go away with no more push-ups. Downward-facing dog. Don't ask, don't tell is gone. Downward-facing dog. Some people are going to be happy about it. While you're down there, let's just make a few new friends. No more pull-ups, no more push-ups. Let's do flag football. And if you don't get the flag, that's okay. At the very least, you'll make the Marine cut. We'll try and usher you into the Special Forces. We think that's the fair thing to do. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Gavin McInnes after this break.
You're about to catch the news just in the nick of time with Nick Nolte.
Last week was hard. Tax day. Son of a bitch to try and bend you over and take your blood, sweat, and tears. 45% of Americans don't pay tax. 45% of Americans don't pay taxes, and the rest of them don't pay taxes.
That was news in the nick of time with Nick Nolte.
Hey, Crowderheads, if you're listening to this on iTunes or SoundCloud, or maybe on the YouTube live stream, because that's a thing now, you're missing so much content at louderwithcrowder.com. That's actually the bulk of what me and my glorious team, not Gay Jared notwithstanding, do on a daily basis, anywhere from 4 to 10 articles a day with commentary, videos, GIFs, images, and it's all free. So if you want to be up to date on the news and entertained, just add louderwithcrowder.com to your RSS feed. Go check it every day. It's free. You get to support the site, and then, maybe we'll give you some free stuff. I don't know, maybe free college. What are they promising? Free college? Healthcare? I don't know. They're promising, we'll give you that. Just bookmark it, and we'll give it to you. That's a promise.
Whoa, Jared, what are you doing?
Shoot bad guys.
With what?
My AR-15.
Where'd you get it?
AR-15.com.
Oh, there's another one. You got him.
Yeah.
Thank God for AR-15.com. They have AR-15 and accessories for sale and the best advice there is on the web. Oh, no, there's another one. You got him.
Yeah.
With your what?
AR-15.
From where?
AR-15.com.
That's the best place to go, and that's the takeaway, because this commercial's about to stop.
I'm Bernie Sanders, and I approve this message. In my travels across this country, I hear too many stories from Americans whom the system has failed.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. I was walking to work the other day, and I fell on a peppermint latte, a grande, and it went in my mouth, and I drank it, and I did that for about 4 more months. Every time I would walk, I would trip on the sidewalk, and I would fall in this latte, and it would go in my mouth. And now my doctor says that I have diabetes, and I need you to pay for it.
In a Bernie Sanders presidency, these Americans will be heard, and Bernie Sanders will help them. Not good enough, America!
And now time for Gentle Insults with Dr. Ben Carson.
Well, you see, Mr. Blitzer, I understand why one can maybe feel that way, but I think if you take my comments in context as a neurosurgeon, you'll see that I was looking at it objectively. Just like I believe if someone were to look at your match on Celebrity Jeopardy objectively, it would not be dissimilar to an incident of rape in an alleyway, the way that Andy Richter handled you on an intellectual level. And I think the sort of demagoguery can go either way, and I don't think it's conducive toward a better dialogue, considering that in the figurative sense, you were sexually assaulted on Celebrity Jeopardy.
This has been Gentle Insults with Dr. Ben Carson.
Okay, business time. Really simple. Some of you don't know where to find me. Louderwithcrowder.com. 6 to 10 articles every single day. Twitter. Follow me at @SCrowder. Louder with Crowder podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, or any other podcatching device. YouTube.com/Steven Crowder, or you can type in Steven Crowder on Facebook and be one of the 1 million+ fans, or join the mailing list. There are so many ways for you to stay connected. You have no excuse. You have no excuse, just like you have no excuse for those rolls that are just cascading over your belt buckle. You should be ashamed. Unless you're a lady, then you deserve get her a medal. I just realized something. We're back with our next guest. Not Gay Jared didn't. You need to take part here. Fix this.
Take part?
Yeah, take part. Not Gay Jared in the video studio is the only one wearing clothing. Our guest, you can see him at Rebel Media, Anthony Cumia Podcast Network. You can follow him on Twitter at Gavin McInnes. Gavin McInnes, thank you for being on with us, sir.
Thanks for having me.
This is.
You know, it's funny seeing you without your shirt off. We have the exact same body.
We're very similar. We both have the same amount of chest hair. I understand now why you were so promiscuous with the bear look. Women love it, and all the ink you have going on. You have to. I mean, if you have tattoos, that's the whole reason for it, right? Otherwise, people don't get to see it. Okay, we want to lead with this because this is a game we've played before. You haven't played it, and then afterwards we can talk in the next segment. So we're going to play newest gender. This is the game. There's a whole. You know, there are hundreds of genders on Tumblr now. Are you aware of this? That there are hundreds that you didn't know of?
I didn't know there was. The last I tuned into this, Facebook had us up to 15.
No.
That's ancient news.
You have no idea what you're talking
He's
about.
worse than Dana. He's so uneducated.
He has no idea. I can't. You know. He
knows nothing.
It's embarrassing for the show because we present him as an educated man, and he just has no clue. Okay, so we're actually going to go through them. We have to guess. There's going to be a winner.
Stop staring at your tits, by the way.
Thank you. Sorry, it was this. Well, it's. We'll say we'll do a check after.
I'm not sure men should work out that much. You end up making little breasts.
Well,
it's like as bad as being fat. But
okay. All right. Let's move on. It is time to play. Jared, let's hit it.
Hitting it. Ready for it. Ready for it.
Okay. Quite a lead in there, Gavin. All right. The game, you need the rules explained. Jared is going to give us an actual gender. It's not actually pronoun, Gavin. You know, we just needed an extra syllable. It's technically just a noun. But we cheated. So he's going to give us one, and then you and I have to guess what gender that actually is, and then Not Gay Jared will give us the actual definition. Clear enough?
Okay.
All right. Let's start with
here
this.
we go.
Not Gay Jared.
First one.
Love gender. Okay, since this is Gavin's first time, I'll go. This is somebody who puts no boundaries on their love, and they feel more attached to the idea of love itself than actual physical love. Gavin, what do you think love gender is?
I'm going to have to agree with that. They're going to reject the whole notion of gender and say their focus is on love. Which, by the way, why do you get to say that gays and straights and other people and bi, don't bi feel that way? Why, so many of these genders seem to already be covered by the 5 letters of LGBT.
There's so much hate speech going on. So much hate speech. Okay, Not Gay Jared.
All right. Real answer. Real answer. Love gender. A gender defined by love for other gendered people who are treated badly. And a love for your own gender as well.
What does that even mean?
So
I don't know, but
love them if they're not treated badly?
Can you love someone can you love someone who's treated well?
I guess so. It sounds very scientific, no matter how you cut it.
Okay, well, okay, we need the winner.
The winner
Who's
is.
And the contestant with the right answer was the guy with the beard.
I think it means Gavin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll take it. I don't think that's accurate, but I'll take it.
Lord Hopper Don gives us. Okay, let's go with another gender. Hit us with one, Jared.
Gender ale.
Gender ale. All right, Gavin, you lead this one. These are all real, by the way. These are actually taken from Tumblr, right, Jared?
Yes.
Oh, I believe
100%. 100%.
Okay.
I believe it. Now, this could go 2 ways. It could be beer-based, and your gender is based on different home-brewed ales.
It's Schweppes' latest hit product.
Or it could be a play on the word general. Because they're all saying the same thing. I'm going to go with it is a play on the word general, and gender ale. No, I'm going to change my mind mid-description. Okay. Gender ale is a gender based on home-brewed beer, pumpkin ale, chocolate ale, that kind of thing.
Okay,
this guy is a gender ale.
Okay, I'm going to go with. I think gender ale is someone who has been starved of true love in the current gender dichotomy.
You're so pathetic.
And so, okay, just go.
Lord
go.
Zed. Lord Zed judges you.
What's the actual definition?
Gender ale. A gender that is hard to describe. Mainly associated with plants, herbs, and liquids.
What is that?
Fuck?
This is syndicated, Gavin. You're gonna give Jared a whole. That doesn't even that doesn't make any sense.
Mean? So you're a
don't know.
plant? Is that like other kin where you're a different species? These people think that they're plants?
I mean, it would make sense if it's like
liquids?
botany gender or something. All right, well, who was closest at
Wait a
this
minute.
point?
You can't have a definition of a thing until you figured it out yourself. You can't just say plants and, I don't know, liquids.
Yeah, how are they all related?
Herb sounds like a great soup, though.
A tree or a tincture.
In any case.
And the winner is Mustache Guy.
He's not a very loyal
He's not
dog.
a loyal Hopper Zordon
Well,
at all.
Gavin, you're winning this. All right, let's
next
go
one up. Ready?
next game, yeah.
Fascigender.
Fascigender. Okay, I'll go with this first. I'm going to say it is someone who is fascinated with genders of all types, and their actual preference is that of curiosity. It sounds like something someone in gender studies would say. Gavin, what say you?
I think a fascigender is a fascist gender, and this is someone who is chosen to be male because they admire Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, Mao. These are people who have chosen male not because of sex, but because of genocide.
Okay. All right, let's hear.
Angry Power Ranger monster is. These are
You have
reactions.
way too much control over the soundboard. Give us the winner here.
The winner is Fascigender, a gender experience largely related to a special interest for not artistic, autistic people.
That's molestation.
That is. I don't know.
Does that seem like molestation,
Wait a minute.
Gavin? And
what
autistic?
does this mean? Do you think you're autistic and you're not autistic? Are you pretending to be autistic?
Are you
And what's
pretending to be
that
autistic,
pretender?
or you're attracted to autistic people?
I think it could go either way. I don't know.
What has autism got to do with gender? I don't understand. There's male and female people with autism.
I think they want to claim it as a gender. That's why I think it's if you're attracted to them, they would consider that a gender. I don't understand this at all. This one doesn't make none of these make sense.
Now a gender just means any group I'm attracted to. Like I like brunettes. Am I like a brune gender?
Only if it's redheads, because that is clearly fetish territory. It's no longer.
It's a way to describe. I think they just take a random fetish and stick gender at the end of the word.
That seems to be the trend. All right, do we have one more, Jared? But let's hear the winner. I won that.
You won that one.
Okay, I won that one.
Yeah.
We have one more.
One for you.
Okay,
All
one
right.
more, and then let's do one more. Let's see.
Cyclogender.
Okay. Well, I know what I think I know what this is, but let's have Gavin have a go at it first.
Okay, I'm going to guess that this is cyclical. They are the perennials of the gender world, and they are men for 6 months of the year and women for 6 months of the year. Or maybe that doesn't have to define the times. It could be something for 4 months, it could be 3 months, it could be 2 months. The point is that like a menstrual cycle, this person's gender changes every, let's say, couple fortnights.
I'm going to say it's somebody who has an unhealthy sexual attraction to the Bill Paxton film Twister, which is a good film, and I actually would put this under reasonable category of gender. What's the answer, Jared?
Cyclogender, a gender identity that changes with one's menstrual cycles. So
we actually got one.
This
is the first time anyone has gotten any correct at any point. All right, let's announce the winner.
The winner is.
The winner is, before I announce you, and the winner is, before I announce which one of you has any last-minute cheeses.
I don't
for
cheese.
Hopper,
There's no cheese for this.
which could affect my final decision. Oh, the winner is Gavin.
All right. I really thought if I had cheese in the physical area.
Look at these pipes when you use foreshortening.
Use foreshortening. Well, you got those tattoos. They probably help accentuate it. All right. We're going to have
to dance it off.
Okay, we have to dance it off. Hold on.
going,
give us a
Gavin?
back dance, Gavin, because we're going to play the playoffs. So, all right, hit it, Jared.
Here we go.
Gavin, we want your best thrash.
Newest gender pronoun. Newest gender pronoun. Newest gender pronoun. Spreading all over science and stuff. Gender pronoun.
It looked like Gavin took a tumble there. Did you take a tumble, Gavin?
Yeah.
Your
I
hair
had a stroke.
You and Dr. Ben Carson. You went from having your hair slicked back, and then when it came forward, you kind of looked like the Ed Furlong era in American History X. I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's the beauty of this. What you do is if you're going bald in the back, you just keep growing it and then you get like a Razak for perms that an African-American woman use, and you just slick that in and you can hide all your baldness.
You're not going bald in the back, are you?
Yeah, there's some problem areas back there.
It really doesn't look that bad. I wouldn't say you're going bald.
For the illusion.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Gavin. This whole segment just took a downer.
I'm married. I could have AIDS and have no face. I mean, I could be a burn victim and we're good.
That's Magic Johnson with the AIDS, and he's married, and she never even caught it. I don't know how that works. Well, I know how it works.
AIDS really isn't that big of a problem.
It's actually not real. It's really hard to give AIDS to somebody if you're even if you're not necessarily using a condom and it's just one person, your wife, depending on the kind of activities.
You know the real issue with AIDS is if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you go off at a tangent with some weird sect and they tell you that you're cured and you stop taking the medication and you die, and you've had hits like Purple Rain and you've had songs Stand Back.
Did you guys hear that Prince died, actually?
Good Lord, Jared. That's how he started the show. He said, "Did you hear this?" He had no idea that everybody knew this in the world. Wait.
I thought
I've been by myself all day.
Did he have AIDS?
Yes.
Did he really?
I am connected to the gay underground through my wife, who's a fag hag, and she said that her people told her that he had AIDS, and the Jehovah's Witnesses don't tell you not to take medication, but I'm sure within that there's like the snake people with Christians who think you can resist snake bites. I'm sure Jehovah's Witnesses have this.
Well, I know that like Christian scientists I know are a sect that do that, and they don't believe in medicine of any kind. Which
I think he got involved in that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And they said, "You're fine, dude. God loves you."
Well, you talked about this before. All your punk rock friends who would get cancer, and they'd think they could fix it with creams, and they'd refuse to get, Western medicine treatment, and they were just dropping like flies. And you think this is
polystyrene from X-ray specs died that way. The girl from the Slits, Ari Up, she also thought that you could just take cream. And they got this from Bob Marley. Because
I know
Ari Up's case, and Bob Marley died with that dumb mentality. Haile Selassie, highly retarded.
Hold on, let it ride. Tweet him at Gavin McInnes. Yeah, I agree with you. Bob Marley, I got so much flack. The only great thing about Bob Marley is that people who wear it's like the greatest douchebag meter. People who wear the Bob Marley shirts. Like, let's be honest. He barely knew more than a few chords. He wrote a couple catchy songs. He's the kind of guy who, if you actually sat him down and tried to discuss, theology, philosophy, he didn't know what he was talking about. But I don't know how many morons have One Love tattooed, and no one is actually able to explain it to me. Well, what do you mean, One Love? It just means, like, being mellow.
Kendrick Lamar just said that. He just said the thing about politics is it all comes down to one word, love. And you go, what are you, me when I was 8? Shut up.
All right, we have. We'll keep you on after this break, and we'll talk more about politics of the day. But that is true. I didn't know that about Kendrick Lamar. We'll have to go back and talk about that. One Love. Maybe Gavin can show us if he has any tattoo similar. Louder with Crowder. Stay tuned. He'll be back. Glad to be back. Gavin McInnes, Anthony Cumia. What's the official website there, Gavin?
AnthonyCumia.com.
AnthonyCumia.com. Gavin is filling in for Anthony right now. He's hosting. How many hours a day are you hosting?
No. I just did one ep. That was 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
But I do my normal show an hour and a half a day. But he's had Jim Norton, Ron Bennington, Colin Quinn, a bunch of mentally ill people.
Yes.
Like Bobo.
Okay.
The clown? He got the clown.
No, it's Bozo.
Oh, Bozo.
Good Lord. Get it correct.
Also, the clown is from the 50s.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people. I'm surprised that Jared even knows this. So you were talking about this. We were talking during the break. You've been astounded, all AIDS and Christian Scientists aside, at the catalog of work from Prince.
Yeah, and this sort of sometimes it takes for them to die before you look them up. Like I was listening to the Pogues the other day, and I go, oh, this is some old Irish song that must be 300 years old. Let me look it up. And then when you see what Shane MacGowan wrote, you go, holy crap. You wrote about 15 major hits.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift is the same. And Andrew WK, who you played on the way in. I mean, he didn't have hits like these guys had hits, but he played all his own instruments, wrote all his oon songs. Incredible. He had at least five.
You know who
other
two would really surprise people? Paul Anka. Still. Did Paul Anka die? Paul Anka die? No, I think he's still alive. Anyway, like only a few years ago, like the guy still does things where he's not in front of the mic, but you'd be amazed. And Alice Cooper. A lot of people don't realize how many songs. Yeah. How many songs he actually wrote when you actually look at the hits, and a lot of them were ballads, like Only Women Bleed, You and Me, and people, when you look at it and you actually look at the best of, you're going, oh my God, I had no idea. And it's not, people thought of this sort of hyper-aggressive thing. He really wasn't. It was actually pretty well-constructed rock and roll.
Prince had Nothing Compares to You, which was Sinead's entire career. He had Manic Mondays, which made the Bangles. He had When You Were Mine, Cyndi Lauper's, one of Cyndi Lauper's biggest hits. Stand Back, Stevie Nicks.
It's creepy.
Purple Rain, what sounded like a greatest hits album.
Right.
And then his own career, Little Red Corvette, Controversy, Starfish and Coffee. What is that? Raspberry Muffins and Jam.
Well, and compared to Bob Marley, who had one song.
Yeah, there's certain artists, though, like Led Zeppelin, you listen to them 2,000 times and you go, I'm still good, let's put it on. But with Bob Marley, it's sort of like eggnog. I don't know if you ever just chugged the hell out of eggnog.
Right.
If you get to a tipping point where you go, I never want to hear the word egg or nog ever again. I just ruined it. And I've listened to a ton. I had a huge Bob Marley phase as a young man, and I cannot listen to one chord from that guy.
Trying to think who I was. I became that way with the Mars Volta. I listened to them a lot as a kid, and I was like, you can only, kind of like Pink Floyd, you can only take so much, we're going to do whatever the hell we want on an album, and it's no longer melodic, where I go, all right, I've lost my grace period here. Yeah, I guess everyone kind of went through a Bob Marley fan, and I was introduced to them
Bob Marley, you have your Jimi Hendrix phase, you have your mod phase.
Right.
You go through all those, but there's something with Bob Marley where you just don't want to go back. Like, who wants to pull out Legend and put the needle on the vinyl right now? Nobody.
It's kind of like Simon and Garfunkel.
Simon, I have a little ditty do.
Yeah.
It sounds like diarrhea a little bit.
It does. I told you, I met Art Garfunkel when he came in to tape Arthur, and it was during a phase where we were coached. Do not mention Paul Simon. And it would just drive him nuts, and we were hearing stories. But okay, so we were talking about this. Curt Schilling is going to be on after you. He got fired from ESPN for the whole transgender thing. You are Mr. Anti-Social Justice Warrior, right? You can't stand it. One of your biggest videos has been on the transgender thing. You're also a big Trump guy, but you're consistent. You like Cruz. You don't hate Cruz. You like Trump. You like Cruz.
Love Cruz. Love.
Yes, and exactly. So I don't want to paint you in that box, but where are you right now with the Trump condemning North Carolina and really opposing this law on the trans bathroom rights? Is that a screw up?
I am on the Steven Crowder show learning that Donald Trump is against North Carolina's
you didn't read this today?
No.
Oh,
you caught me.
Well, I wasn't trying to catch you. We played the clip. Yeah, he said, I think trans people should be able to use whatever bathroom they want. It's been a lot of strife business-wise. It was a bad decision. And, they should just leave the laws the way they are. And so my thing is that it's a PC, spineless, caving. I think you're going to see him do this in the general. And it's also a statist answer. You can't keep the laws the way they were because of Charlotte. right? Because of Charlotte. The reason the state had to step in was because Charlotte was infringing on private businesses' rights. And then the state said, no, let's make it you use the bathroom you were born into. And Trump came in and he's against it. And he was pretty, he reiterated, was adamant. And I'm not trying to catch you with it, but that is what happened.
Well, you caught me, and I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for my guy. It's like Ann Coulter says. She goes, have you noticed that our guy is insane? He's
no,
like
she said mental.
Mental. He's like a crazed teenager. And he says this stuff and you go, wow.
Are you mental?
You are. The whole thing, people don't get the whole gay thing. They just think, they accept the left straw man because they don't want to be known as a bad guy. And this is the left's greatest tool. Like,
but this has nothing to do with gay.
Recently,
the fact that they even lump it in, it has nothing to do with exactly.
It means gay, and you go, okay, I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
Like Jeffrey Dahmer, when they were doing a documentary with his life, he goes, by the way, I only ate black people because they were the nearest ones around me. I'm not racist. Jeffrey Dahmer, the cannibal, was concerned about being seen as a racist.
Right.
And you go, you know what? Eating feet that you've boiled in a pot is way worse. But okay. And in this day and age,
Dick Morrissey.
It's going Dick Morris territory. Sorry, Gavin, continue.
To be remotely conceivably homophobic is the apocalypse. And you go, no. I just don't want my daughter to be vulnerable to some creep who goes, wait, what's the law? Okay.
Right.
So I just put a wig on? All right, I'm going to go in.
Yeah.
And this has happened. This happens in Canada where this has already been legal for a while.
Oh, it happened in Seattle.
These guys going into women's shelters and abusing women.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely
We're not necessarily
right.
scared of trans guys. We're scared of guys pretending to be trans guys.
Well, it's not even that. It's just, again, it's infringing on the rights of a vast majority for people who are delusional. Gavin, I didn't want to catch you with it, so we'll talk about that another time. AnthonyCumia.com.
Too late, I'm caught.
Well, no. Gavin is very reasonable, and he always has our support. Gavin McInnes, AnthonyCumia.com. Louder with Crowder. We'll be back. Thank you, Gavin. You're the reigning champion of newest gender pronouns. You need to defend that title.
More than a friend.
Well, if you want to catch me, I think you have a trust here. Don't fall. It's the end of me, but... Oh, I mean, where are you? What the f***? You would have let me fall.
Steven Crowder here. Hey, Jared, what are you doing?
I'm just having trouble getting through this book.
That's because you can't read.
I know!
You should have used Freedom Project Academy.
Freedom what?
Yeah, Freedom Project Academy. Just go to fpeusa.org. It's a fully accredited private online school, no Common Core, and absolutely no government funding whatsoever. All the classes are taught live online, kindergarten through high school, with real teachers based around the country. So through Freedom Project's classical curriculum, students master the basics like math, English, history, science, alongside some more commonly neglected courses like logic. You're not getting that in a lot of schools. Economics, American Studies, and Latin, all of which foster the long-lost art of critical thinking and create leaders for tomorrow. All classes are recorded to be viewed 24/7, and you can get your very own sneak peek of any class or professor at fpeusa.org. Open enrollment runs March through July, but classes always fill up fast. Now, do you have your GED equivalency, Jared?
No, is that important?
I think so. I mean, you might want to give them a call. That's Freedom Project Academy at fpeusa.org.
Glad to have that song. And no. Keep it off. We're in the third hour.
No,
Not Gay Jared has not put on his shirt. It's hot in here.
It is hot.
Speaking of which, hot. What's funny, this just happened. John Kasich, the whole nice guy act, I think everyone's catching on. He got so mad he stole the recorder from Reporters Mouth. What is Gavin still on?
Yeah, real quick, Gavin's he's still there.
What's he doing?
Oh no, we're not bringing it back on. He just won't go away.
He just won't go away. All right, well, Gavin is still lingering somewhere on the show. For those who are watching the live stream, of course, listening terrestrially, you do not care. This has been a not Gay Jared. You got to let him go at some point. He just won't stop laughing.
My mouse is frozen. His apparently is too. So we can't hang up the call.
You can't hang up the
call. So he's just always there. Look at there.
Right.
Anyways.
Oh, you know what? We need to get this video up. That's right. You don't have it. Hillary, did you hear about this week? Hillary pandering to black people.
Again, Again.
It is just so painful. We'll bring that video clip up. For people who haven't been following, this is just so funny this week. You know, Hillary Clinton has done that where she puts on the... Well, so did Barack Obama, right? Putting on the fake black voice. It depends on who he's with. He'll talk. He's going to talk like this, and then he gets in front of black people, and y'all know what I'm talking about. West Philadelphia, born and raised. What did you... Barack Obama, did you start singing the Fresh Prince theme? I like DJ Jazzy Jeff. Man's a national treasure. I don't know that sounds anything like Barack Obama, but just the pandering from the left. And Donald Trump, I just hate fakery. I hate it whether it's Hillary Clinton, whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's Barack Obama, whether it's John Kasich. I just can't stand it when people fake things and it's so clear. And Hillary Clinton, I don't know if you can bring up that video at any point.
Yeah, you want to play it?
Yeah, okay, let's play this. I just saw it. Is it newsworthy? Not necessarily, but it is everything that's wrong with Hillary Clinton. And a little known fact, by the way, not a single person at Bucknell or Cal Poly, when I was there, where have I been? Cal Poly, Bucknell. I'm trying to think of just the college shows recently. Cal Poly, American University, Bucknell. I'll be at Amherst this next week with Milo Yiannopoulos and Christine Hoff Sommers. Not a single young person of the Black Lives Matter, the feminists who show up, who rip down the posters, who protest, not a single one of them likes Hillary Clinton.
No
they
one
are
does.
all Bernie Sanders. And why? Because of this. Let's roll the clip.
Carry with you.
Hot sauce.
Oh, that's right. This is the hip hop redux. So for those of you who
Right now,
hot sauce. Get it to the point where she's not
hot sauce.
I got hot sauce in my bag, swag.
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
This is the problem with whenever you pull the video clip.
Yeah,
She's
so
sitting there
the
talking
one
about
on the
hot sauce in her bag swag. She's like, I put hot sauce on everything. I like hot sauce. I like hot sauce. Hot sauce. Can you imagine if I just walked into the BuzzFeed office with their no doubt their black lunch table because they segregate the lunch tables, and I walked in and said, "Hey y'all, who's got some watermelon? Vote for me for CEO, bitches!" And just danced off.
You'd have my vote.
I would have your vote.
You'd have my vote.
It's just
hands
so
down.
funny. Hot
No
sauce.
competition.
I put it on everything. Really? Like, I put it on fried chicken. I put it on my chitlins. It's just so fake. Maybe she does like hot sauce. But then there was a follow-up on Good Morning America.
What you didn't see was she was actually grabbing the bottle of ketchup.
Was she?
I don't know. Just think it'd be funny.
Like, hot sauce.
Hot sauce.
Just pouring Grey Poupon from
Heinz. Heinz. No, it'd be Heinz for sure.
Well, and what's funny is they followed up and asked her on Good Morning America, so are you a sriracha person, like a tapatio? She's like, it's her answer, just like kind of Donald Trump. I love all the verses. She said, I love all of them. I use all of them. If you're going to ask me, what are your favorite hot sauces? Okay, right away I'll be like, okay, well, sriracha is the ketchup. If I'm using any kind of Asian food pizza, that's the basic one. And then we have, you have Dave's Insanity if you want to screw with people and get really hot. We have Mad Cow hot sauce is one that I really like.
I've heard of the bomb. The bomb is
the worst is
nuts.
There's ass in the tub hot sauce, and there's actually one called Ass Reaper, and it actually has a little cloak and skull on top of the hot sauce bottle. This is a true story. We used to go to a place called Jack. By the way, my dad wanted me to issue a correction. He set the school record in junior high with 16 pull-ups. 16, which is pretty impressive regardless of your age. So he did send that to me. Sorry, Pops Crowder. We used to go to this place, Jack Astor's, it was a restaurant in Montreal, and it was kind of like a Chili's, flair and very fun. And this French-Canadian guy would always come up, and they'd have like hot sauce was a thing. Like, would you like hot sauce? And so he would come up, and we'd say, just because we wanted to hear it, we'd say, oh, what do you have? And he'd run down the list. And he's French-Canadian. He goes, oh, we have lots of hot sauce. We have Tabasco Chipotle. We have Louisiana. We have El Tapatio. We have Hass in the Tub. And the new one, Hass in Space. It was Ass in the Tub and it was Ass in Space. And he would say these with a straight face. So,
these sound like Olsen twin movies.
Yes. What was one we got? We got that fantastic hot sauce from the former cop.
That was the best
Illinois.
one.
Very hot.
It said made by a cop on it.
Made by a cop.
I've yet to
and
find it
it was really
again.
good. No
It's
preservatives.
Really
anyway, the point is, if you're going to claim you put hot sauce on everything, you should have a couple of answers. Just like if you're going to claim that the Bible is your most important book, you should have a couple of verses. you should just have a couple. Like if you just say, I like
John
Catcher in the Rye.
3:16. Just throw anything
Throw
out there.
anything out. Throwing anything out there.
Yeah. Because that would be the ketchup answer of hot sauces. But go on.
John 3:16.
John 3:16.
I mean, of the Bible.
Of the Bible. Yeah.
By the way, speaking of which, fakery, Bernie Sanders, I guess maybe he finally released his tax returns. We covered it earlier this week, and he didn't release his tax returns. So that's it. He released his 2014 return, and he's very cheap. He's very cheap.
Surprise.
If you look, of course, leftists do not give at all. And by the way, they lied about it. They said that they released their tax returns to try and leverage this against Hillary Clinton, saying, well, we'll release our tax returns if you release your Wall Street speeches. They didn't. And his wife has been caught in some fraudulent scandals for a while now. And she's a lifelong succubus on the government teat, working in the education sector and basically supporting her husband's career campaign. I always find that funny with Bernie Sanders. He's anti-establishment. He has not held a private job since Jimmy Carter was president. Maybe Reagan. If I'm going to say it without a punchline, without exaggerating, he has not held anything other than taxpayer-funded employment for 3 decades.
He has a little bit of vested interest.
Yeah, a little bit of a vested interest. The guy who you want to be president is the guy who does not want the job.
Or need it.
That's the ideal scenario, is the guy who does not want the job. When people say, we were talking about this with Dave Rubin, people said, we need to get money out of politics, Citizens United. That's another point. 90% of people who say Citizens United, they have no idea what that was about. Citizens United. It was about citizens who made an anti-Hillary Clinton film and basically were told, you're not going to be able to make this movie. They tried to, this was actual systemic censorship, so it went to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said, no, businesses have the right, citizens have the right to unite, and they still maintain their rights to holding a political opinion or casting political donations. That's what it's about. Is there something to fix right now in the political system as far as money? Yes, but to just say overturn Citizens United means that you're giving the government authority to say, well, you can't do Louder with Crowder. We don't want Gavin McInnes doing his show. We don't want Milo to have his podcast. Trust me, if you believe in freedom of speech and you understand what Citizens United is, there are flaws in the system. But you need to know, don't just walk out with a few silly buzzwords. That happens a lot. And so you hear Bernie Sanders say it, and Donald Trump says the same thing. We need to stop Citizens United. It really is someone who's entirely uneducated. Tweet me at @SCrowder what you think about Citizens United, what you think we need to do with money in politics. One thing that nobody ever mentions is big unions. And here's something, too. Big unions, of course, Bernie Sanders, it's a lie. He's taken all kinds of big donations and, of course, tons of money from big unions who have far more money than Big Oil, Big Pharma, Koch brothers. By the way, our Koch brothers check cashed, Jared, so we live to do this show
that's
another
good.
day.
That's good. It'll be all next week, then.
Still waiting for the fracking money, but it's coming in the mail. And people just, they don't acknowledge big. Now, not only can unions give these huge contributions. Look at an example like Goldman Sachs, right? Oh, evil Republican right-wing Wall Street. Actually, no, they give a pretty split amount. Most of these big banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, I don't have the exact list in front of me, most of them gave more to Obama. All big banks are doing is betting. Right? And then they hedge their bets, but they're betting on a winner. And Barack Obama was a winner, so they bet on Barack Obama. And they hedge it. They might give 55-45. A really extreme right-wing bank might give 60-40. We can hear you typing, not gay Jared. But unions, 99%. 99% of their contributions go entirely to Democrats. Now, are we supposed to believe that 99% of people who are in unions are Democrats? You don't find that kind of a Democrat anywhere, that kind of a consistency. Probably most of them, but certainly not all of them. It's also a lot easier for unions to force these individual donations through dues. That's something nobody talks about. For example, I've had to be in the actors union since I was 12. Just to be on Arthur, I had to be in the union. And by the way, this is the way unions set it up. They don't want to protect the worker, they want to protect the unions. I was able to get backdoored in. This is a true story. Total blessing to get my union card. Why? Because I was able at a young age, I wasn't the first brain on Arthur. I was able to do an impression of the previous kid for a few seasons. And so they were able to justify bringing a non-union member in, me, and each episode counted as a credit. You need to get 6 credits to get into the union. And back then I think the rules were 1 film or a credit, and so you wanted to get into episodic so you could rack up those credits. Because guess what? You can't work unless you're in the union, and you can't be in the union unless you have the credits. So it was a really, really rare occurrence for me to get in there. The actors unions are designed to protect the actors unions. I wouldn't be surprised if my annual dues that we have to pay, if some of that has gone to Hillary Clinton or a Bernie fundraiser. They can do that. They can tack on a few extra bucks and you'll never know. So not only do they give giant sums on behalf of the union, but they're able, there's a lot of, if you want to talk corruption, listen, let's talk in Michigan unions, Jimmy Hoffa, right? This guy was buried. My grandfather-in-law saw Jimmy Hoffa the day he died when he had breakfast. This is a true story. Fred Corzine.
That's crazy.
I wish he could tell it, but he's dead. So that's always hard.
That's always difficult to do.
If we really want him to tell it, we'll just trot him out in the next election, have him vote Hillary Clinton while he's there. Hey, can you tell us the story?
Oh, yeah.
Hillary Clinton Democrats get a lot of dead people who vote for them.
Yeah, explains a lot.
You didn't understand that, were you?
I didn't. I was really slow.
The point is, there's a lot of voter fraud going on with the left. I had a girl in high school, we were talking about that. I don't know who it was who did that in Canada, a famous politician, and it was a scandal that he had dead people voting for him. And I had a girl, I remember her name was Sasha. She said, "But Mr. Home, how could they vote if they were dead?" And I was the one who got kicked out because I called her a moron. True story. Do we have Curt is on in
next segment?
Next segment. Next segment, we're going to have Curt Schilling, exclusive, talking about the ESPN firing. So, and this whole scandal. Let's stay tuned. Curt Schilling, Louder with Crowder. Love you.
And now it's time for your Dating Advice Minute with Bill Cosby.
Now, this week's letter comes to me from Russ, from Sebugaboo, Canada. That's the real place. I know some of you thinking I'm trying to make up the place. Sebugaboo is up there in the Gaspésie region of the Canada with the sugarman, the main exporters potash from the coal mines. So Russ is asking me, I got a woman.
How long do we have?
Who is not giving me the attention.
But you said you liked him.
That I feel
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty thorough.
You think you can see him again?
Yeah, I mean,
Russell,
I don't know.
Before you go on out and you want to try and turn the relationship upside down,
That's a lot of those guys.
You gotta take the small steps to might be more effective.
Which commercial are we running right now?
This is
Cosby.
This is rerun. Important enough.
Oh, because I was traveling. Yeah,
to a
thanks for
nice
helping.
dinner, maybe
No
Italian,
I think you
maybe
should.
Chinese.
I'd like to. I mean, I can meet with him too at some point.
No, I mean, this is. I gotta do this for me. Hold on, 20 seconds.
Okay, 20 seconds. Hey, make sure that we have those transitions ready for the gender pronouns when we put it on YouTube.
Okay, yeah. I think that's not.
This has been your Dating Advice Minute with Bill Cosby.
I'ma do the things that I wanna do. I ain't got a thing to prove to you. I ain't gonna wear the clothes that you like. I don't give a hoot about what you think.
All right, I am so glad to have this guest on. This is an exclusive. It's the first interview that he's done. Not Gay Jared. I will bring him on. If you could tweet this out, my Twitter just stopped working.
Sure.
So just handle that while we're doing it. Scandal, top trend all over social media. And he works with the Fisher House where they build homes for wounded veterans, and he wanted us to plug it because he's such a nice guy. He could have made it about himself. Curt Schilling, thank you for being here, sir.
Hey, what's up, guys? How are we doing?
Well, I'm glad you sound so chipper. Has this been a tough week, or you just kind of going with the flow?
I think it's been tougher probably on my family. It's a job, not a member of my family. And, I've got a plan, and the sun came up today. It'll come up tomorrow, and we'll go from there.
Well, I wish I could say I'm surprised. No, we're past that at this point.
Yeah.
How long have you worked with ESPN? Forgive me, I'm not a sports
guy.
What?
Honestly, I've worked on and off with them for I would assume close to 7, 8, 9 years.
Gosh.
Some of the greatest human beings I've ever known I got to work with. The people I worked with were some amazing and good and quality people, and that's what I'll miss. I'll miss that part.
Now, okay, for people who don't know, explain it to them real quick. We'll do 2 segments with you here but explain it. So you were relieved of your duties at ESPN.
Listen, this is not a one-time thing. I initially, this all started out when I tweeted a meme about Muslim extremists, and I compared them to the Nazi Party, and basically saying, it's just this quote-unquote 7 to 10% of extremists, and then comparing it to the percentage of Nazis in Germany,
right.
the Nazi Party, and basically saying, how did that work out? And then I said something to the point, when you do the math, it's pretty staggering. Well, I was on a flight to the Little League World Series, and I was immediately told to get on a plane and go home, and they put out a statement almost to me disavowing themselves of the tweet. And my first response was, okay, I don't know, what are you disavowing? And then I quickly realized that everybody that went batshit crazy did so because they took the word extremist out of the post.
Right.
Which, if you do that, it's an incredibly racist thing, which is why I didn't. It was the only word that mattered in the tweet, actually.
Well, yeah, and that they don't care about that. So that was your first offense.
That was, but basically, to me, the first thing that told me was my employer is not only like throwing me under the bus, but they're calling me a racist.
Right. Well, and it's also not, even if you remove extremist, it's not racist. You have a problem with an ideology and a religion. Islam's not a race.
Well, no, I have a problem with extremists. I know Muslims. I mean, my God, I worked with some.
Sure.
I don't. Nobody has a problem with people that are everyday Muslims. People have a problem with extremists. I don't care if they were white extremists, black extremists, but they're Muslim extremists, and their faith tells them to kill anyone not of their faith. And this is very much like Nazi Germany.
Well, and then Muhammad, the point is, because you can get into territory with Muslims. I want to get to the more recent one, but Muhammad was a terrorist. Muhammad himself was a terrorist.
That's how Islam spread around the world through war.
Yeah,
conquered.
Exactly. It's spread by the sword.
Right.
Speaking of sword.
So anyway, yeah. So going forward, then I made a comment about Hillary Clinton, and that comment was basically, if she's guilty, or I thought, based on the evidence, she's not only is she guilty, but she's so guilty she should be under the jail. People took that to mean I wanted her killed, which was wrong, and they got all pissed about that too. And then they sent out the memo that everybody gets, and it was the same memo we had gotten before, but I feel like, and I'd have to look back, but I was called out for the things that I had said, while there were things being said on many other shows that were very liberal, very progressive, racist. I mean, Stephen A. Smith does it pretty much daily.
Sure.
And so, I was kind of curious, but then this last one was...
Yeah, so we have this up on the screen, Not Gay Jared, the meme.
So I responded to a tweet or to a Facebook post that someone else had made. Now, there's a couple things to know about this. I responded to it, and my response was basically, listen, men's rooms were clearly made for people that stand up to go pee, and women's room not. I use words I might not should use. Anyway,
we all do.
That turned out to be transphobic.
Right.
Now, the other piece to know about this is I made this comment and shared this post on, and I'm not saying my private Facebook page, but the only people that could see the post on my page and the comment were my friends, quote unquote friends, people that friended me on Facebook. So it wasn't public.
But even then, even if you didn't, because you understand and you are being tactful because you work with ESPN, but even then, suggesting that if you have a penis, that you should use the men's room should not be something seen as so hateful and bigoted that you lose your job.
Here's what I said. My point was, what the hell was the urinal made for? I mean, I wasn't really being facetious when I said it, but it's like, listen, men's rooms were made for people to go to the bathroom standing up, and women's rooms were not. If they weren't, then there would just be one bathroom everybody would use.
Right.
But this, again, now I became transphobic.
Well, that's the new term, right? Because they have the same-sex marriage. They have same-sex marriage, and that was pushed through the Supreme Court, and it's over now. And they've accelerated right away. Like, okay, well now everyone's transphobic. And they just tack it onto the gay thing too, like you see with North Carolina. It has nothing to do with gay.
Here's the problem. That first of all, nothing I said was transphobic. Number one, when I ran the video company that went so poorly at the end, I had multiple transgender employees who were some of the best people that I worked with. My son, one of my youngest sons, is a member of the LGBT club in high school. He helped run it.
Let me ask you something real quick before we move. Transgender employees, how do they fill out that application? And did they?
I don't know. Never cared. Don't care.
But I just want to know if they thought they were pulling the wool over Kurt's eyes.
Here's the thing. I've come to realize the reason people get pissed is because we don't make it as big a deal as they want it to be.
Right.
I don't care. I don't care what you wear. I don't care who you sleep with, as long as it's not my wife. I don't care what color, what race. I don't care about that stuff. I've never cared about that stuff, and I'm old enough that if I had those ghosts in my closet, they'd be out.
Right.
And plus, last I checked, and for the most part, people I know, if you're racist, you're not afraid to admit it. It's
no.
they're proud of.
Yeah, it's generally not something that's why they try and act as though there's a secret. Remember when they used to say, well, if you use the word socialist, it's code for the N-word for Barack Obama. And now you have Bernie Sanders who just says, I'm a socialist. It's like, no, we don't believe the N-word. We don't believe
code word now. That code word book is like 14,000 pages.
Yes, well, we always...
Everything's a code word for something racist. It's
well,
like a little S, you're a liberal.
Yeah, it's like our little Orphan Annie secret decoder pen where you go, oh, okay, socialist, that lines up with the N-word.
That's the thing. See, I don't have one, and I don't care. And here's why I say
well,
that.
We have to go to a break, and I'll get you one in the mail, and we'll have you back to talk about this. Curt Schilling, nice guy, man, got the short end of the stick, deserves better. Louder with Crowder, we'll be back with him. Stay tuned.
Oh man, I need to drop a deuce, so I hope it. Oh man, I need to drop a deuce, so I hope it. Oh man, I need to drop a deuce, so I. Oh man, I need to drop a deuce, so I. Oh man, I need to drop a deuce, so I hope and pray that it will. But today I'm still just a bill.
Hey, if you're listening to or watching this podcast, there's a strong chance that you are not yet following me on Twitter at @SCrowder, where I'm tweeting all day long. I'm ticking off the social justice warriors. You should see the amount of hate I get on there. Far, far, far worse than any fat Sports Illustrated model or Black Lives Matter charlatan. So listen, it's free, you get to be entertained, and you can chime in. Also, if you're following me on Twitter, you can send me your tweets, and maybe you'll be lucky enough, and I mean lucky enough because I have a lot of followers, okay, that they call me the follower machine, to have your tweet to me, or Not Gay Jared, included in our rockinest tweet of the week. So follow me on Twitter at @SCrowder. If not, I don't want to say I have sights on your mother, but... Oh, she's dead? You're just saying that because I made a mom joke. No, she's really dead? Well, you kind of walked into it. All right, glad. Sorry I had to do those commercial breaks with our evil corporate overlords, but this man's a pro. He knows the business. Curt Schilling. I would give his Twitter handle, but it's so hard. It's hard to say. So just type in Curt Schilling, and he shows up. He's verified. Curt, thanks for staying with us, brother.
What's up?
Okay, well, so you were talking about a lot of things. The under the prison, Hillary Clinton, was that a Breaking Bad reference? Someone mentioned that on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great program. A little known fact, overwhelming.
One of the greatest ever.
It is really good. I liked Sons of Anarchy first when it came out, and then it got to the point where I was like, ooh, I don't know how much I can stay with this. And then...
So, yeah, my wife was into Sons, and then West Wing is still my favorite ever.
Yeah.
And then Sons is pretty good, but Breaking Bad was, oh, my God.
Yeah, it's as good as it gets.
Yep.
And my friend used to actually write back and forth physically with Bryan Cranston. And little known fact, he was actually thinking about becoming a priest at one point, which is really, really nice.
I had no idea he was that talented.
Really?
Well, the baseball commercial that he did... I don't know if you saw that. He did the one-man baseball show, like a commercial on MLB Network or something. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I knew, in Malcolm in the Middle, I thought it was an incredibly underrated program, and largely because of him. If he was in the scene, everyone elevated their game, and comedically, he was just people don't realize what an influential show Malcolm in the Middle was, moving toward that single-camera sitcom in the United States. And
I'm always blown away by how good an actor has to be to make you hate their character.
This is true.
You start out thinking, wow, what he's doing is like, come on, how can you be mad at him? He's trying to, and then by the end, it's like, what a piece of trash.
Right.
It ended perfect.
Speaking of hate,
except that there are a couple guys I want to die much more horrible deaths.
This is true, but not Hillary Clinton. We want to clarify. Speaking of hate, so what's been what was the process like where you no longer work at ESPN? How did they let you know? You said you've met good. Did it create some factions? Did you feel thrown under the bus? And then what was the public reaction like?
Well, I mean, I did feel I feel kind of from a top level perspective thrown under the bus for quite a while. But that makes me sound like a victim, and I'm not. My biggest issue was that they made me drive 2 hours yesterday to meet with somebody in HR. Then they could have just called me. Like, you know, I drove down there and met with
I've
the guy
done many of
who-
those meetings, yes.
Well, I've been in some, but I'm like, you know, I'm talking to him, and he goes, well, we're going to have a meeting, and you'll probably get a call later. I'm like, seriously, what? I mean, what's the holdup? I mean, you've basically cornered yourself into not having an option.
Well, the funny thing is, I want to say this about your meme. Your meme wasn't even anti-trans. For people who didn't, we brought it up earlier. They can go search on Twitter. What it was saying, if you have a different opinion, you are accused of being a hateful, transphobic bigot. It was a commentary on the social justice warrior left. So my question is it basically just an unwritten ESPN policy where you have to have that opinion on the LGBTQ AAIP silent F, otherwise you're not welcome there?
Yeah, but that's not a secret. I mean, again, if you listen to the commentary, look,
right.
And I hate to say it like this because I'm not lumping everybody together, because again, I had some amazing people I got to work with, but here's what the analogy I used with a couple of the employees there that I was speaking with. I said, listen, if I'd come out yesterday and said, transgender people are the greatest people in the world, and if you don't agree, you're a son of a bitch, they would have said, listen, please don't use that language on the air.
That would have been it.
That would have been, they might not even said that.
Right.
But listen, the other people screaming about, you know, First Amendment this and the First Amendment doesn't apply here. This is not about, I have freedom of speech. But when you work for other people, you have consequences if you say things that they don't get along with. But my problem is, I don't believe you can have a double standard. I don't think it's legal to allow one racist opinion and not allow another if you don't agree with it.
Right. Well, and also in your defense, because I know there's nothing that you said was racist at all or anything along those lines.
And that's, you know what, I tried to talk to people. I was talking to some people, and I spoke to somebody that is actually transgender, and I said, listen, we were talking about how this all came to be, and I said, you know, to be very clear, if you want more people to be either sympathetic or open to hearing about your cause, then you've got to at least attempt to be the tolerant people you want everyone else to be.
No, and I will say this, even regardless of anecdotally, if you have trans friends, we've had a lot on the show. There were plenty of stops on this logic bus that said we could have pulled the lever. Right. They didn't want gender-neutral bathrooms, a third bathroom. That's a perfect solution, but they believe that's the movement, the gay Gestapo, the trans Stapo, believe it's discriminatory to have a third bathroom where it's like, okay, this is all bets are off, that way everyone's comfortable. That wasn't enough.
Has nothing to do with plumbing finances.
No, exactly.
Well, one of the questions I've got to ask, though, is when did people believe that the world was supposed to conform around them instead of conforming to the world you live in or shaping yourself to the world you live in? People now expect the world to shape itself for you. And I don't, that's not how it works. Well, that's how they're trying to make it work.
Right. Yeah, I mean, let's talk, gay people, 2% of population here. Obviously, there's nothing wrong. Love gay people, have them on the program. Disagree with them. We just had Dave Rubin on this show. Super gay. Lovely gentleman. Then you're getting to trans people. You're a single percentage point of a single percent point, and many of those people aren't at the front lines fighting for this social justice bathroom issue. You are talking such a small percentage of people who have so much control and can get people like you fired simply for disagreeing. That's the issue.
Here's the thing. And this is one of the things. This is how we've gotten to where we are. We've allowed the vocal minority to shut up everyone else.
Right.
And now it drives all of our political agendas. Here's the thing. I don't care if there was a transgender march down my street to have transgender bathrooms. I wouldn't go out and watch it, and I wouldn't care that they were having it.
No.
I want homeless veterans to have homes. I want orphaned and abused kids to have homes. I want the homeless problem in this country solved. There are so many other things that are actually legitimately scary and dangerous, like, I don't know, ISIS. But
by the way, little known fact, ISIS, not huge supporters of the LGBTQ community.
Well, but that's the other piece, right? I mean, Bruce Springsteen, wow, you're awesome. You boycott North Carolina. So I'm assuming all your stops in Italy are now canceled because same-sex marriage is illegal in Italy.
Right, or Bryan Adams was in Egypt performing.
Right, no, and you're the Middle East, you get beheaded or executed or thrown off a roof from 30 stories if you're gay, if you're a woman who loses your scarf, or if you're not a member of the faith.
Well, you know what? That might be more convenient for trans men because all they need to do in those countries is toss on the headdress and no one's the
You know what? Again, people joke about it, but the problem is that the world, people pick and choose strategically.
Right, exactly what they want. And like you said, the problem is, listen, it's not only minorities, obviously, that's why we're a representative republic and not a democracy. But like Donald Trump came out today, we were really disappointed. He said, they should leave the laws the way they are. Well, we're at a point you can't because Charlotte decided to step in. And so the state had to say, no. You can't do this. Use the bathroom you were born with. You can't come in and infringe on people's rights.
That was the other thing I said at the I'll tell you. This was the media to a T today. I was tagged in a post that somebody posted from a transgender website that said something to the effect of, Curt Schilling posts horrible transphobic meme, calls transgender people pathetic. And I'm waiting. I'm like, wow.
No, you never did that.
Well, I'm thinking, wait, what did I? And at the bottom of my post, at the bottom of the response, I had said that we need our government to step in and make these laws now is pathetic.
Right. Yeah. Well, I do think that if you need to be cradled in a safe space because you can't use the ladies' room when you have a pecker, I would say that person is pathetic. And I don't think all trans people are that weak.
Here's the thing. Like, I don't have. Everybody's talking about, oh my God, people are going to get raped in women's bathrooms. The issue is not this.
No, it's not.
What's going to happen, and you can assure, it's already happened, but it's going to happen one time in a big way. Somebody is going to get molested in a women's room, and it's going to be a child. And some scumbag, pervert, child molester is going to go to jail. And the transgender community is going to be in a place they never, ever wanted to be. Because they're going to have to be defending their right to use a bathroom, which opens up the door for, you know what, this is just like the whole, anti-police thing, right?
Right.
There are
most violent year ever in history for Baltimore when they started vilifying cops.
They're amazing men. They're amazing men and women who put their lives on the line. There are bad eggs, and they should suffer the worst penalty ever.
Right.
But that's not representative of the force. Like, pedophiles aren't representative of transgenders, and transgenders aren't pedophiles. But there are people that will manipulate this law to their advantage, and someone is going to get hurt.
Right. Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right, and I don't even think that's necessary. Because people go, well, what if it doesn't happen? It doesn't even matter because again, most women are immensely uncomfortable with it, as they should. They go, what about men? Yeah, you and I and not gay Jed probably not uncomfortable in a men's room. Why? Because women aren't naturally sexually predatory the way men are. It's the way we're wired. Every single boy's fantasy is to go into the girl's room.
Here's what I gotta ask you though. Why tell us? I don't care. I don't give a shit what if you come into the men's room and you're standing there taking a piss, I don't care. If you go into the stall, why do I have to know you're not a real a born man? I don't care.
Well, the issue is a lot of women did care and felt uncomfortable, and so cities enacted laws.
Absolutely. But here's the other piece, all right? Think about the world 2 years ago that we lived in, right? If Bruce Jenner had happened and no one had ever known, today would the world be any different?
Yes.
ESPN would have given the Courage Award to somebody that should have gotten it.
Okay, you were there. What was the sentiment there? Like we did the whole fake Olympics with Caitlyn Jenner winning the commentary. Caitlyn Jenner, if we believe this is a new person, is separate from Bruce. Caitlyn Jenner has precisely as many athletic accomplishments as not gay Jared. 0.
Right.
And an award happened. But behind the scenes at ESPN, where even the far left were like, yeah, okay, this is kind of ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing, and it was it was taboo to speak of, in any way but a positive. So when no one spoke about it, and that was,
except you.
Again, here's the thing. Who cares? Honestly, who cares, and why would you care? If you care, that's fine. You can go have your discussion. And the other piece, I tried to make these people understand that I was speaking with. An opinion and a belief are two very different things.
Right.
This is an opinion. My opinion's malleable. It's all of my opinions are, and most people's are. My belief that Jesus was the Son of God, and that and my family, and those things, those are unshakable.
Right.
Now,
well, right away, you're given far less leeway the second you make that.
Right. No. Right. But if I'm a racist, that's a fundamental belief of mine that one race is superior to another.
Right.
If I'm homophobic, my belief, my foundational belief is that gay men aren't worthy of the same life I'm worthy of. None of those things are true.
No.
But think about this. And this was, to me, the thing that really got to me. When people are calling you things that you could not even come close to being, somewhere the wiring's screwed up.
No, it comes from top down. At that point, it is collusion.
No, I agree. No, you're right. But listen, if I said the N-word in my life, my dad would come out of the grave and pull my heart through my chest and kill me.
Right.
I've never in my life judged somebody on anything other than how they treated me, and I've had preconceived notions of people like, that guy's a douche.
Right.
And then I end up playing with a guy, and he's like the greatest teammate I've ever had. I mean, I learned that enough times to know.
Right.
But when people are calling you a racist, and
Well, what's been the public reaction is my question, because we can get into the back room, and I appreciate you letting us in on that.
I think it's been exactly what listen, I expected it when the Muslim thing came out. It was the same thing. Like, they knee-jerk reacted, and then about 2 days later, I'm going in circles, but this is like 9/11, right? And 9/11, everybody was, this country's the greatest, let's go kick everybody's ass.
Right.
And then the really loud folks, they die out in about 6 months.
Right.
This is no different. All these people screaming and yelling in 48 hours are going to be moving on to something else because I got fired and they're all happy.
Well, I think this, though. I think you've had...
going to be sitting there going, wait.
I think you got more support than ESPN expected.
Oh, no, absolutely.
I think they're pushing way too hard right now, too fast, and this may have a rebound effect. Because if you look at social media, it wasn't even split. A majority of people thought that this was pretty ridiculous, and I think it shows how out of touch ESPN is.
Even though a majority of people who didn't agree with the thing I posted were saying the same. Like, this is ridiculous.
We have to go, Mr. Schilling. Thank you so much. And I know you're going to start going on this tour, and everyone's going to want a piece of you. If there's anything we can do, let us know. But thank you for stopping by. And man, I appreciate that you're willing to stand in the pocket.
Guys, I appreciate it. I'm gonna be on Breitbart tomorrow morning, so that should be enjoyable.
That should be a lot of fun. Curt Schilling, thank you, sir. We must go. Louder with Crowder. Stay tuned as we wrap it up. This week in Not Gay Jared's diet habits. Is that Doritos now?
No. Well, I mean, yeah, but the Cool Ranch.
Seriously, though. I'm concerned about you. There's no way you can be healthy. You're sick all the time. You're coughing.
Don't worry about it. I took one of those things.
You took a vitamin? Earlier. A vitamin doesn't make up for everything. You took a vitamin?
I took one of those this earlier today, just this morning.
A vitamin doesn't. It's to supplement.
No. M&M.
Stay tuned for more of Not Gay Jared's diet habits. Hey, Crowderheads, if you're listening to this on iTunes or SoundCloud, or maybe on the YouTube live stream, because that's a thing now, you're missing so much content at louderwithcrowder.com. That's actually the bulk of what me and my glorious team, Not Gay Jared notwithstanding, do on a daily basis, anywhere from 4 to 10 articles a day with commentary, videos, GIFs, images, and it's all free. So if you want to be up to date on the news and entertained, just add louderwithcrowder.com to your RSS feed. Go check it every day. It's free. You get to support the site, and then, maybe we'll give you some free stuff. I don't know. Maybe free college. What are they promising? Free college? Healthcare? I don't know. They're promising, we'll give you that. Just bookmark it, and we'll give it to you. That's a promise. That original track means that it is the end to our program. Really glad all the guests who came on. Incredibly grateful, Mr. Curt Schilling. The first program he did. Listen, we don't deserve that. We really don't.
We did nothing to.
We have no business getting these exclusive scoops. Every now and then we just have people who either follow or are fans, and I don't know. We have the ability to get to it first. Some people, apparently, I guess there was some kind of a live mic thing, Jared, that people were talking about, so fix that. This is the last segment here, so I wanted to sort of follow on what Curt was talking about, because I know he has to be careful, and not that he pulls any punches, but there are legal ramifications, right, if he says something. Kind of like when Ben Shapiro was on, or Michelle Field situation. Anything you use in public can be used legally, and that's why it's important, for example, when you have politicians who misuse the terms, or they consider them interchangeable, like battery and assault. If you use the wrong one, or someone committed a misdemeanor and you say felony, well, now you're on the hook for slander. So I wanted to give...
Or if you come on a program, you're really nice and respectable, then you play Spot the Trainee afterwards. You had nothing to do with it, but
It doesn't matter.
It happened.
It still happened. And then they're going to show the gif of me and Gavin, touching the areolas. And then they're like, "Are you running for president, sir? And this was the program on which you paid a visit." So I think next week we might actually have Libertarian candidate Austin Peterson, if I'm correct. And then there was someone else who we were talking about.
We're talking.
Who was it? Oh, it might be. It might be Nick DiPaolo, I think, next week. We're not entirely sure, but Austin Peterson with a few other guests coming on. So we're always grateful. Listen, the common thread here with what Curt was talking about is he was quieted, he was silenced, he was fired for being transphobic, racist, homophobic. That's what happens on campus. The more I perform on campus, and I hate it. Honestly, I'm looking forward to this being over, the tours. We're going to do a few more dates here. Go to louderwithcrowder.com to see them through the spring. Then we'll take it off in summer and then fall. Just colleges really suck. They really suck now because you show up and people protest. And for conservative provocateurs, it's fun because you videotape it and they show up and they're mad. When you just want to do stand-up, it gets to the point where it's almost impossible, and it's really no longer fun to do. But again, when I spoke with these kids, and it's the same exact thing that's happening with Curt Schilling. It's the same thing that's happened on campus with a guy being expelled for not raping somebody. It's the same thing that happened with Whole Foods. All of these tactics and techniques, they were used entirely from the left. Now, you're just using the left-right divide, man. Yes. And I don't shy away from it, and it's entirely appropriate. You do not see this coming from conservatives. You don't see this coming from the right. Certainly not in record numbers this way. If they get mad at something that someone said, they don't try and get that person to lose their job. Maybe now with some factions of the right wing, I don't know, maybe it happens, but certainly not conservatives who I've worked with my entire life. On campus, they try and ban speakers. Racist, sexist, homophobic, right? And so what's their solution? Don't let them speak. Curt Schilling put out a meme on his private Facebook page where he basically thinks, hey, if you were born a man, specifically if you don't go through with the surgery, you're probably still a man. And the meme was pointing out this idea that if you say that, you're hateful and bigoted. He didn't even necessarily say that. The meme was about even saying that is considered hateful and bigoted. And what do? They said putting out that meme is hateful and bigoted.
They just set him right up.
Right.
Through the point.
So what's the solution? Fire him. Make sure he doesn't get to speak. Now, every time I go to college campus, these speaking engagements, they're open, and liberals come in. You know what conservatives on campus never do? They never try and ban people. It doesn't happen. You don't see it with college Republicans. You don't see them wanting to erase chalk and demanding safe spaces. You may think they're wrong. Again, left and right, man. Yes, left and right. The right does not try to constantly, their go-to is not silence voices of opposition by defaming the person before the argument even begins. You counter bad speech with more speech. Dave Rubin, we were talking about, he was on our program. I was on his program this week. He's never received more hate mail. I like Dave Rubin. We've become friends, and we disagree on nearly everything. But we're willing to have that idea. Guess what? No one on this program, no one who watches it, ever complains when we have Dave Rubin on. It doesn't happen. You'll see people say, they might make a joke, but say he's so far left, he's wrong about everything. He has his head up his rear. I'm glad he comes on the show. Same thing when we have leftists on, whether it's or people who lean more to the left, like Sargon or D.L. Hughley.
I can't think of anyone we've had on that people had just some visceral, nasty reaction.
It doesn't
to
happen.
And went up and flocked their page and spam them with hate.
Online, people really hate the Young Turks, but that's because they do that with us. All they do is paint everyone as racist, so people are tired of it. But you have to look at this, and I know it's easy to be a fence sitter and say, well, it's not left to right. Yes, everyone is an individual, but if you look at what's happening on campus, if you look at what's happening in the media, if you look at what's happening in the government, there's consistently one side that always, if they can do it first, if they can drop this nuke first, they will. Silence it before the dialogue begins. It's why they try and ban me on campus. It's why, I didn't do it with it. We have bomb threats at Cal Poly. Now, I don't go out there and put it on a website and make a big deal out of it. Why? Because I just want to do stand-up, and then after the fact, we can talk about it. A lot of people think this press is good press, but when you've actually had security problems talking about the Islam, we actually underplay it. Conservatives don't do that. So, yeah, it does matter to see the world. Isms are okay. I don't believe in any ideology, man. It's always fluid. Well, you can also be blinded by that. Because at a certain point, if you refuse to notice consistencies, there is nothing different about what's happening with Curt Schilling at ESPN and what happened at Whole Foods or on campus, like Bucknell where I was. It's the exact same thing. It is the tactic of the left. And here's what I will say. You should listen to people. You should always have a dialogue if you can. But if someone immediately goes to a racist card or tells you that someone is a racist or a transphobe or a homophobe, their opinion should immediately be met with skepticism. And the first thing you need to do is stop them. And, whoa, you say racist. Justify that. Whoa, hold on, you say gay. Rationalize it. Because I tell you what, when I sit there and I do these shows on campus for 2 hours, some have been 2.5, they're never able to. They're never able to rationalize it. They're never able to make that position tenable. Just like they won't against Curt Schilling. They'll just say he's a racist or a transphobe. Someone says that, you should immediately put them on your radar of someone you should be skeptical. Louder with Crowder. See you next week.